Hello, everybody, and welcome to the tippity top of our tournament building, where the casters, we put them in the basement where they're supposed to be, and here on the desk, all the way up top on the fun side. I'm Medic, your host for the show today at Gamers Without Borders, brought to you by Savvy Gaming Group. And we've just gone through Europe, but we still have 2 more regions to go for today. Next up, our attention turns to LATAM, and for that, I'd like to reintroduce the desk, Jess joining again, and Jesse for this time here on this matchup. How are you guys doing?
Good. I mean, it's been nice. Analysts are also actually kept in the basement when we're not on games. So
we're
it's
not supposed to say that.
I'm sorry. I appreciate the fresh air that we're being let out to watch some LATAM games.
I mean, sheesh, I thought we weren't spilling secrets, but I think there'll be a little bit of spilt blood today by MIBR if they get their revenge again against FaZe that we've already seen happen. So this kind of like rematch of that goes back so long ago that I don't even think we can quantify at this point. Yeah, I'm excited to see it yet once again.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are sad that Escolinha de Bubu did not make it through to this grand final. I know it was heartbreaking for everybody to hear it, but here's a bit of an update on the bracket just in case you've not seen what kind of went down, because let's be honest, it was a bit of a banger. Escolinha de Bubu moving down to the lower bracket and then being knocked out by FaZe Clan. Like you guys were saying, these two faced off against one another in the upper bracket final a couple days ago. And now they go up in a best-of-5 setting grand final. You see, MIBR has 1 point up, 1 map up. That means that is just because they came in from the upper bracket. That's the advantage that they play with. Whereas FaZe Clan, they get the extra chance to survive through the lower bracket, but that comes, with the caveat, the downside that they come in with 1 map down. That's where we are turning our attention 2, and now we start preparing for it. I think our maps should be ready, so I want to start this up because we want to get into game. I want to start talking about how this goes. So Jess, 2 bands first are in Club and Villa. What can you tell me?
You know what? Let's just ignore Club. We'll just ignore Club for the moment. The reason I'm laughing so intensely is that Villa banned by FaZe is not only a necessity that they ban it, but it is a nightmare. It is something that they themselves, I would not have liked to have seen them go back to, because if you did miss the upper finals, that was a 7-0 that MIBR delivered. There's only been one other thrashing. It was a 7-1 yesterday, of course, and 7-0s don't come often, especially when we're talking about tier 1 teams, but MIBR in the very first map against them absolutely demolished them on Villa. So FaZe is getting rid of that, because I tell you what, it is not a place that they should go back to anytime soon.
Yeah, and Clubhouse makes sense as well. That's one that FaZe did very, very well on yesterday against Escolinha de Bubu. Border and Skyscraper, though, the next 2 maps, these will be the first couple chosen. Border for MIBR, going to be a fun one. They play this a lot. Not so far in Gamers Without Borders, but they have played it a lot through BR6, and then Skyscraper. I haven't seen very much Skyscraper, so I'm still very excited for this one.
You've missed out on the games where I've been on the Skyscraper.
Yeah.
I have seen a lot when you haven't been here, conversely, but this is the first border in the South American region for this tournament as well. So we actually don't know how this region technically wants to play it. If they do want to play it a little bit looser, a little bit, freer than we would see them in their usual league, then maybe we get a different taste to what it's going to be, this kind of border, because it's been very aggressive so far. And I've seen some cool Lazami plays on it, so I'd like to see that here as well.
And then Bank from MIBR and Theme Park. Theme Park, neither of these teams play very often, so FaZe's going to take it out of the pool. Bank's a little bit of an odd one for me, just because it is one that we saw MIBR beat FaZe on previously. It was close. It was an 8-6, so maybe they're just thinking they don't want to try their luck again. That was too close for comfort. And then leaving Theme Park up is how that goes. Oregon, Kafe, and Chalet. Of course, Chalet not being played, right? Because that's the man advantage that automatically goes to MIBR.
Exactly. You talk about that decider, like Jesse was saying, you see that 1 point that is given already in the bracket for MIBR because they come from the upper bracket or the upper side of the bracket. That decider map in a best-of-5 setting is the one that is given for free for them. So, of course, you can play that smart and very intelligently as a team in the ban phase and kind of give your own squad an advantage on a map that you never wanted to play. So that's one thing that they've gone for. Chalet has been taken away from all of this. We'll be starting on Border, then Skyscraper, then potentially Oregon and Kafe. Let's focus on Border for just a moment. Jess, what do you expect on here? We've seen a lot of Border. We've been very happy, though, when teams ban it out and give us a fun time. So what's going on?
I mean, for me, I just want aggression. I want them to meet them at the door. You got to think about the fact that MIBR is going to be feeling really good going back up against FaZe after they dominated them 2-0. The round differential looked very much in their favor. Sometimes it could be a really close game and you go, maybe that's something we might struggle with next time. MIBR must be filled to the brim with confidence right now and going on border where they can harness that aggression, that real good team synergy to just take over FaZe. I think that's something that they have a really good chance to do. So we haven't seen it in this region, but that doesn't mean that what we've seen in their own region particularly is not strong, because it is.
Yeah, I'm going back just to their own region. In BR6, stage 1, they actually played on borders, a 7-5 victory for MIBR. So they've played this in the past. There's a little bit of history here. Or we'll see who comes out on top. Sorry, for FaZe, 7-5.
Okay, so what are some advantages here that we can look at? Because, we look at MIBR versus FaZe. That Villa, it's a good thing it's not in here. But otherwise, Bank was a pretty good, close game between them. Had to go to overtime to be decided. So we're looking at two teams that potentially could be on very much equal footing in this game. What are we expecting on border to happen? Because, it's as attacker favored or very close to how Bank is seen also in the metagame, Jess.
I mean, I'm just checking who's starting on defense, and it looks like FaZe will start on the defense. So for me, I actually think we can sit here, watch the very first half of this, and tell pretty clearly how dominant MIBR is going to be. Albeit, I will say that their defenses in some of those maps that you would consider to be leaning towards attacker favored have been a little bit weak here and there. So that's a manipulation that FaZe can go into that second half with. But if they do dominate the first half, a lot of people might be throwing in the towel and going, MIBR, they've won it and everything like that. They're starting on attack. That's the leverage they'll get. I'm hoping for MIBR's sake they take that momentum and run with it. And I think FaZe, that will be something that will really be on their, I suppose, on their minds at the moment, because they themselves have already lost MIBR. I think this is a mental game. I actually don't think this comes down to like who's better. I think FaZe just has to have a little bit of confidence and just step up after yesterday and just go, yeah, this is well, not yesterday, the day before. There we go.
Right. I think that one player you can focus on as well for FaZe Clan is Cyber, because you look at the last game that they played against Escalina Dabubu, and Cyber was the frag hunting machine that we saw all the way back at the Sweden Major that we know and love from FaZe Clan. He had a pop-off game yesterday, but you go back, you look at the stats against MIBR, and he just wasn't showing up there. I think he was 4th in kills on his team, which is really, really hard to see when he is kind of the star player, the big fragger that FaZe kind of builds their team around, that like him to get a lot of kills. He's in a lot of those clutch situations, but also a lot of those opening frags. He's a very entertaining player to watch when he's on, but the last time these two teams faced off, he just didn't seem to show up.
And then how then who then, especially outside of Cyber himself, do you expect to kind of be the person or the squad that kind of lift him up and give him the space that he needs to? Because it's not always just about, the spearhead, but also the support system to allow this person to really perform as best as they can. More of an open question here.
I mean,
Astro?
I'm leaning Astro.
Yeah, I was like, look, I don't want to put the man under the scope, but you know what I mean? I'm like, if I'm thinking of someone who's next in line to take the mantle, I'm like, Astro, you got to step up, my man, because your boy Cyber, he's struggling a little bit. And then you think about Souls, the backline and everything like that. He's the soul of the team, I like to say. So I'd like to see what the whole team has to show. But it's so bad because you come into a desk like this and you have to speak negatively about them because they put on there was not a lot of positives to pick out of it. And if we could have, we would have. It's really that Villa game that we're just sort of leaning onto a little bit and going, there was pockets of greatness there and there's opportunities, and obviously that lower bracket game, but again, not against a tier 1 team, so we have to really give that the kind of echelon that it deserves. This one is just a test for FaZe. It really is a big test.
Yeah, and I'm looking back at the numbers for the last time these two players faced off, and it was Lukid who topped the server with 22-9 over the best of 3 that they played against one another. Lukid has long been kind of one of their star fraggers. He is typically the entry, getting in there first, getting a lot of those opening frags. He plays the Finka, he plays what he wants. So hopefully we're going to see another big performance from him. I'd like to see more of an even contest with him and Cyber kind of butting heads in those really frag-heavy entry engagements, but we'll see. Of course, I do think MIBR are a pretty deep roster. I think Felipox can pop off from time to time. I think Raps has been really, really strong in the fragging department recently. So I think there's a lot of depth on this MIBR team.
Really looking forward to see how it goes in the game itself. Jess and Jesse, thank you very much. We are going to start watching this game because our lobby is ready. Let's toss it then to our casters. It's Ace and Des. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Milosh. Time for us to go once again, Tim. And this time we're jumping into your old home region. It's like going around and checking out the old house where you used to live when you were a kid, back over to LATAM. And this one has got two real star-studded roster names coming into this one as well. Where are you leaning with it? Because you've done a bit of LATAM over the last couple of days. Mystics have been away. What's your take been so far?
Honestly, I'm leaning towards MIBR. I know they come in with the map advantage and it's kind of an easy pick, but FaZe, not just through this tournament, they've been a little bit off the pace since they won that major back in Sweden. You know, we saw them not qualify for SI. They had a shaky stage in BR6. MIBR are a team that have been slow burning for quite a long time now, getting those two back-to-back SI top 4 finishers. They're threatening to become one of the really dominant teams from the region. They played really well the other day. We saw them 7-0 obviously on Villa and then able to close it out inside 2 maps. I just think FaZe have really got their work cut out today.
Yeah, and a lot of it as well is looking at the maps they're coming into. They really aren't too dissimilar from the ones that we had in the last series. Border and Sky are our first two. Obviously kicking things off with Border first and foremost. So really excited to see how the differences between the two regions start to stack up in this fixture. Ying going to be our first ban taken away. Not something we really saw make an appearance in our European game earlier on, Tim. But with that taken off the board, no flashy plays, quite literally.
Quite literally, indeed. I'll give you that one, Des. Ying will be the first. Nomad is going to be joining us.
We had to change it up. We've had enough knock jokes over time. There's got to be something else.
Yeah, I think we've certainly not we've had the life out of the knock jokes. Nomad is going to be the second ban, and that's not to say they're not going to continue, but people are definitely groaning at those ones now. Valkyrie will be our first defender. So we've had quite a difference on the attacking side of bans, and then I think we're going to see very similar on the defensive. It's going to be Valkyrie and Mirror, would be my guess. We'll see. There we go. It's as if I've watched this game before.
Almost, mate. Don't spoil the script. It's a recording, okay? We're just playing it back for you guys, obviously. Nah, absolutely not. It is very, very expected that you'll see a number of these bans coming away, especially the Valkyrie and the Mirror. Let's get into it, though, Tim. We're going to start things off with FaZe on the defensive side. Again, we know that Border, as of late, has been the most attacker-leaning map in the game. I believe for a while throughout Stage 1, the average was 37% around the world. Defender win rate very, very low, and attackers having a lot of fun with it, likely because the proximity to site, or for the majority of sites, to the outside of the building was very, very low. Same as you have with, or very high, I guess, high proximity. Low proximity? Low. You're close to it. Same sort of thing as you have back on Coastline, where you can hop in through a window and basically already be standing inside a site on every single site on that map. Border isn't a mile away from that.
And MIBR are the ones that will take that advantage. Coming in on the attack, it's not necessarily how we've seen it play out over the weekend, but this could be a bad omen for FaZe. Of course, coming in with a 1-map advantage in the hands of MIBR. You see that up at the top of your screen, currently 1-0. It's a best of 5. They only need to win 2 maps versus FaZe's 3. And if they get a strong start here on Border, they could find themselves, FaZe, in the same position that Rogue did earlier. 2-0 down going into map 3. And we all know how that one ended. Despite a valiant fight back from Rogue, they were unable to overcome such a task. Now then, we're going to have MIBR straight onto the action phase, stacked up towards the detention corner of the map. Aside from Felipox, who's on the glass, he's going to be working from the opposite side by himself, but I think we're going to see some immediate attention to CCTV.
As you come to expect as well, it is one of the kind of key staple points of this map. It's kind of the base where that's where you get inside the building, you work your way forward, you can threaten in towards 90, stop the defenders using that to rotate around, and also end up controlling a lot of E-stairs as well. It's just where you want the focus to begin, so for MIBR to keep their attack off there makes a ton of sense. You can see a couple of the red outlines as well, or orange outlines, darting around by 90, so FaZe are aware that it's going to be a point of contention. They want to keep them outside of the building for as long as possible, as we hear one of those key barriers from Cyber go down. Speaking of Cyber, pops up, finds his first kill onto Redux, the ace going away. You hear one of those Selmas going off in the distance, but that's all the hard breach they had for this round, Ace.
That is a great first kill from Cyber, just not been dealt with at all inside of there. Raps manages to find Bullet through the bullet hole. That is not bad at all, but with that wall being soft, it might not be the end of the world, but they can't keep feeding Cyber like this. He's going to keep eating you for dinner if you give him the opportunity, and they're just feeding into him one by one. Astro manages to get a kill onto Luke and make that 2 as he finds Felipox, and this is round almost done for FaZe here. Falls will be shut down by Souls, and that's going to leave us with a strong opening round for FaZe, and that is exactly the sort of message they needed to send.
Yeah, that kind of exploded out of seemingly nowhere. Not the C4, of course, I mean the actual round itself. It kicked off with MIBR looking good with that first opening kill coming through. Sure, the one response came back, but once you get those snap 3 kills in the middle of round, it's almost like you just stepped on a bear trap. An awakened FaZe who were waiting in these positions to capitalize once they knew you got past a certain point. Just very good, very snappy, really showing that they're awake and ready to play in this game. Round 1 decisively going in their favor. Round 2, down to Vents and Workshop on the downstairs. Tim wouldn't be surprised to see a similar round play out again, where a lot of the focus comes on the upstairs, because for this site, you do often see defenders playing upstairs around Armory and Archives.
Yeah, as you say, it's going to be very, very similar in terms of map control that MIBR want to get as attackers. Let's be honest, as they will be happy with any map control whatsoever after the last round, because they didn't get anywhere near, didn't manage to make it into the building. We keep having this conversation. It was brought up on the desk with the analysts as well. If you can get aggressive as the defenders, if you can stop the attackers getting inside of the map, it's your best chance on board, basically. Because as you said, quite a lot of the doorways, corridors, doors lead directly into sites, or at least into very key areas. So you got to meet them right up at the boundary, and that's something FaZe Clan were able to do really, really well there. All the way from that first kill from Cyber, they just kept on the pressure.
You can see those vertical angles already being opened up as well, so they are ready to wage war from above if MIBR don't respect the fact that FaZe has set up on that top floor. We do see some teams not bother with the vertical play, really, right? They'll just go direct to site and go, look, we can deal with it. The angles are restricted. Like, it's not a big deal. Already they've seen the alibi decoy like tucked into the corner there as well, taken out, and now it's Ring Around the Roses with the Twitch drone, which Cyber ultimately walks away the winner of. Another alibi decoy coming outside the building just to keep on winding them up, Tim.
It's just that constant nuisance. You've got that, screen real estate being taken up by it. You don't know if somebody's actually running out on you. There's just so many little niggles there that they really need to be taking it out, and will be able to, but still, it is just, like I said, that time that gets taken up trying to go and deal with that. Nope, it's still there. Still flashing away. I thought that they got it taken down, but nope, not as of yet. MIBR choosing to just play on for the time being with it there, rather than waste the time to go and get it. So, top floor clearance still underway. Still not much progress from MIBR. Not inside of the building, and no further forward than they were back in round 1, to be honest. We're going to have the E1D scan comes out, but somehow, Des, they've got themselves inside a site. They put in the diffuser down here. Bullet gets the opener onto Raps, but it's not going to matter when Foles has managed to get the plant inside of ventilation.
All this debate and debacle has been going on around the alibi, the Gemini, sorry. He just got inside there and nicked that one away, and now is in a great position to hold it down and make sure this diffuser can't be disabled on the outside of the building. Lukid finding one onto Cyber. Now suddenly FaZe are going to have to throw themselves out of windows, and they do try. They get a couple of kills, but MIBR with the shutdown like a Venus flytrap, just catch their prey waiting on the upside down rappel. Here comes Cameraman looking to try and stick on the diffuse. Can they get the angle now? Surely they know, and they can stop this one. Reduct comes in for the save. A little bit of panic there on the window for a second. MIBR balancing things up at 1 apiece.
A great round from MIBR there, just managing to sneak inside a site, caught us all by surprise as they were able to get that diffuser down, and especially without having vertical control. It was a great play, but they were just able, I think, to hold them from the sandwich window, prevent them getting over to that side of Armory, and I think when they knew that they were too far away from that angle to be able to prevent the diffuser going down, they just took their opportunity, and well played it was indeed. That's going to lead us into round number 3 then. Nothing to separate these two teams as we start. So in the first 2 rounds, we have 1 apiece. And this time it's going to be bathroom tellers for FaZe Clan. Looking down the list of operators, nothing too wild. We've got the castle, which I know you love, Des. That's not going to be too difficult to deal with, isn't the first one. External windows are fine. Obviously, I understand the purpose of it, but you can pretty much deal with that very quickly. They've got Fleepox switching over to the Zephyr. He'll be able to go down, just hit that with an explosive grenade from distance. It's gone. All right. So there's no major problem there. It's more the internal castles that can cause a problem.
The problem always then as well, if you're having to use the impacts from the Zephyr on those barricades, and what's going to happen to the Banshees or other distance equipment that can affect you. Looking at things like the bubbles, right? I mean, there's no ADSs, there's no one on side as well, so you haven't got to worry about them being caught out. Sure, that's where things like a Gon 6 becomes really useful, or potentially a Flores. We did see them hovering over that, but they've stepped away from that now in its entirety. It's just the Zephyr on side, plus the Gon 6 is coming in from the Lion and the Iana.
Let's see if...
Again, honestly, Cyber is going to be public enemy number one.
I think it's going to be a recurring theme, if I'm honest. Because like you said, it's just wasting that time if they do choose to go and clear it out every time. Armory, you probably won't play it because you know they're going to play up to that wall anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But everywhere else, you're just trying to pull them out of position for 20-30 seconds whilst they clear it out, or they live with it throughout the round. So FaZe look like they're going to be committing to that for the foreseeable future whilst they're on the defence. But MIBR, they don't look too rattled by it. They carry on with what they're doing, getting the drones out and seeing that it's safe to get into sight.
Absolutely, in through jail comes Raps, then just completely circumventing, at least for now, the one castle barricade set up on that door that leads through in towards customs. Otherwise, got himself tucked inside a supply, can get one of these walls opened up here. Of course, playing on the ace does mean he has those Salmas or the breaching rounds to break his way through, save onto those valuable Salmas in case you need them for a reinforced wall a little bit later on. Lukin also rotating himself back around, so for the vast majority of the team, Northwest seems to be, at least for now, their focus, Tim.
Getting into East Stairs, or at least sending the Gemini clone in that direction. The movement will likely follow. They're going to want to get Office locked down, I would have thought, because that's the verticality that they're looking for. They've got players on the windows here. Need to be careful, Lukid, for there is an angle coming through from Showers just past the bomb chassis. Not going to take any damage, but I don't think FaZe are going to let him just waltz in through that window. Flashbang goes out, second one to follow, just burning utility. In he goes, makes the pre-fire, gets shut down, but it is Souls who's maybe able to get the second, and that is 2 for him. Cyber closes one down as well, and it's a 4v2. They've tried to go in through a single window, Des. I'm not sure what they expected from that position. They managed to get cameraman, but that was all. Souls with 3 in the round, and FaZe close out round number 3.
Very comfortable, yeah, looking good as well. I know it's gone back and forth between the two. Second round very decisive in one way, but the first round was very decisive towards FaZe. So at the minute, we're not really seeing either team assemble momentum or really get the ball rolling. I do like how MIBR made a really good attempt early on there as well with the push. 2 men in through the single window. The only problem is really, as is always the case, whether it's a shield or a window or a half wall, you're locking yourself into that animation. Defenders or aggressors onto you making that kind of play know exactly where you're going to land. They know exactly what your animation's going to be like, and they can take those shots. So really, you need to be landing a headshot as soon as you physically can. Otherwise, you're basically screwed.
Round number 4, then we're going to get back to Armory. As you said, this round was particularly one-sided towards FaZe, so it's not a surprise to see them go there. They've had half of their defensive rounds now, and coming out 2-1 is not bad. It aims them towards a 4-2 half. We've said the attackers, we would expect to be doing better than that, so MIBR, it's time to step up. You're going to need a better 3 from here on out. You can't allow FaZe to just keep rotating through the same things, but Armory was not a promising sight for them last time around. MIBR unable to get over the threshold, essentially. They didn't get into the map in any real terms, didn't have any map control. They had players dying coming into CCTV. They just couldn't really establish anything.
And here we go with a bit of a hold inside of Office by the looks of it as well. I just saw the jammers going down on that external facing wall, so really wanted to lock in. Now, I remember when Border first came back into the rotation, Tim, and we were saying, oh, that's an old classic when we had Sledge getting up on the roof, lining up the nades, a drone just casually watching the player sat in sandwich below, and then sure enough, nades came flying in. Players started dying. So I'm being really cautious in watching that because, again, there's no Jaeger on side, there's no Wamai on side. These nades, the only real ones coming in from Raps, mind you, could be really deadly, and that is a real stinger. That's the Amaru going down super early on to Cyber. That's not what you want when you kind of like back pocket, like trick coming out there. The ace up your sleeve, so to speak, was counted on the Amaru being the one doing a bit of work for you.
I mean, it was Cyber that got the frags underway for FaZe last time around. Him and Bullet are having a pretty good time of it so far, just getting right up in the faces of MIBR from the off, completely understanding what needs to happen on Border and looking to level this one out very, very quickly. That one map advantage could well disappear if MIBR don't step up. We've got Redux down as well. He will be boosted by the Thinker, getting back on his feet, and Raps then manages to get a kill as well, just showing the value of that Thinker to any team. Being able to find frags, get people up without going across the map, just from wherever they are located, and that at least keeps MIBR in this round.
There we go, finally seeing the glass coming into effect as well. However, these are the only smokes on site. Camera And what is that? Sprays him through the smoke and finds him for free by the looks of it. Bullet goes down. The Warden, who really would have been the ideal counter to the Glass, but hey, a bit of bright blind fire also works just fine. Raps locked in a 1 versus 1, but where does the man step through? Astro is just tearing the team asunder right now. It's looking like a good day so far to be a FaZe fan or a FaZe player. Lukid, the last one left alive against 3. It lands a wondrous shot, but is down to half HP against 2, Tim.
Astro just goes where he wants at the minute, 6-1 and looking unstoppable. I can't believe MIBR are trying to push directly onto site, having not cleared out CCTV. That's why they're in the position they are right now, facing a 1v2 clutch. Lukid, he is established inside a fountain, tries to push in, he's got one either side. Cameraman it is who can pick him up, and that is another fairly easy round for FaZe. They go 3-1.
Nice solid start, and I think teams today overall have struggled with attacking border. It's been interesting again after we saw how it was observed when it first came back in, that attackers generally did very well, when normally it's the reverse. You know, a new map kind of gets reworked or put into the pool. Defense is generally quite easy to figure out. The most optimal way to attack it and to deal with all the new variations defenders bring out is what takes a little bit more time. Maybe because it's a rework or a small touch-up rather than being a full map rework, attackers are still very comfortable coming into it. But this is definitely a different flick on what we're used to seeing again with defenders so far powering ahead.
Ventilation Workshop going to be the round choice for round number 5. FaZe have 2 defensive rounds left, and I tell you what, if they can get away with the 5-1 half here, Des, they're on an absolute steal, and what they're looking to do is send a message back to MIBR after that 7-0 embarrassing on Villa. They want some revenge, and the best they're going to get at the minute is 7-1, but I tell you what, I wouldn't put it past them with the way things are going. FaZe are absolutely all over MIBR right now. Every move that MIBR make, FaZe already seem to know that it's going to happen. Cameraman with the kill last time around onto that Glazon window. It was through the smoke. He was just able to spray it down. He knew that the player was going to be playing the windowsill, and it was just job done.
I think it was really interesting how FaZe kind of read into the possibility that MIBR might bring along the Glaz as well, because they had the Warden, and probably even droning out the Warden, MIBR still stuck with the Glaz as well, just thinking they could really come out on top, whereas ultimately those two operators never even got the chance to interact, both dead before they could have really any impact on the round at all. FaZe once again going for a very wild-esque approach that we just saw in our European finals not too long ago, of being quite aggressive out in the map, wanting to make sure that MIBR are challenged at every entryway to the building. We spoke about this earlier as well, attacker repick, really letting attackers have the most ideal lineup to think about and execute or getting control of the map. So the best thing you can do is disrupt them early, try and get rid of a couple of critical operators, and again we also saw that in our European finals. Losing hard breaches early really cost a few rounds throughout that series.
Cyber, Astro and Souls have been a great front line through these first 4 rounds effectively that we've had so far. 14 kills between the 3 of them. Really impressive stuff, and going at MIBR at every opportunity. Lukid, he's trying to get some lines of sight there into Office just to again get MIBR established inside of the map. There they go. They've got themselves through there, but they will likely find themselves challenged very, very soon by FaZe, who have not been one to sit back in this encounter so far.
Absolutely. Still Astro dancing around. We saw him put on an absolute masterclass of ballet earlier on around this wall when he was dancing in and out, but Redux has managed to get himself in on the backside, has the idea, but the big question is, has he got support coming in from elsewhere? That is what they don't seem to know right now. Raps gets the entry juiced up. Here he comes in towards 90, but the man has just slipped through the rotate. Do they have any idea he's even worked his way in here? Astro is still playing around on this west wall with no idea that Redux is just meters away here, looking to cause some trouble. Maybe now the call is coming through. You can hear a couple of pings coming out, but there we go. Redux is in, unknown to Astro, and shuts down the terror of round 4.
Just over a minute left to go, and MIBR definitely looking better than they have done so far. Astro has been a real problem, so getting him shut down, that's a big move. It also gives them CCTV control. Souls, he manages to find Redux. We see Lukid taking a little bit of damage there as well. The next step for MIBR, the next problem that needs to be solved, is getting enough control to be able to go in and get the diffuser down. I don't think they feel that confident in that position yet. Souls, he gets a double in the round, finding another onto Falls. Lukid onto Bullet, keeping the man advantage in place for MIBR, but there is work to be done. 3 versus 2, and FaZe can hold on here with 25 seconds to go.
They can, but we always say can, and you never know what happens in a round of siege. Lukin finding one more. Souls, he is the clutch master. Tim, you've picked him up so many times, but he has got to pull off a little bit of a miracle here. The ceiling above him is coming down. He's being shot from every which possible angle. Felipox going in and trying to stick this plant. Souls down to half HP, but the Angel of Death from above waits for no one. Lukin closing out the round.
A good round that MIBR needed that one. If they can come away 3-3 here at the half, honestly, I think they'll be sort of counting their blessings. They'll be thanking their lucky stars because they won't know how they've got away with it because FaZe have been running rampant for the last few, to be honest. But MIBR, a much better round from them. They just found like they'd sort of found their foundation there. They'd just got a bit more settled than we've seen them. They weren't rushing. FaZe weren't able to go and play into them with the same aggression. I think the entry kill really helped MIBR and it just slowed the pace down to where they need it to be.
Whew, okay, back and forth, back and forth. I know FaZe have looked slightly stronger, I'd probably wager across the round so far, but MIBR, at least for now, keeping it close as we go into this another defense down here inside of Bathroom and Tellers. So what I'm looking towards here again is what we spoke about before, right? The castle with the extended hold on the upstairs, really making it harder to push through. The Azami kind of functioning as a, I don't want to say like a pseudo castle barricade, but you can use it for that kind of purpose. I will say that often you don't, only because if they get control of the other side of the doorway or the wall in which you've used the Kiva barriers, well, you walk up, you punch it a few times, it breaks away, no real biggie. Whereas the castle barricade, as we know, takes 11 hits to get through, a little bit more dicey in that case. No mute on side, but the Mozzie there once again, just to help try and lock away that information gain coming out of MIBR.
Attackers are moving to defuse a bomb.
Not too much attention towards Office, which is, it's interesting. We've not seen attackers necessarily focusing on it completely either. The vertical play previously being much more sort of vital for this site, but look at this straight away. We're going to have the window opened up directly into site. MIBR tried to just foul themselves in through there last time, hoping to win the gunfight with Cameraman. They did win the gunfight, but Souls was in a position to cover and got himself a double as they came through the window. So I don't think that MIBR are going to be trying that strategy again. The last round showed us that they just had to slow things down a little bit. I don't think we're going to see anything overly aggressive.
It would have been really interesting if they'd just gone for it then, because the castle hadn't opened the rotate between Bathroom and the site to the south. So it would have been a bit like, well, we can just rush in here. There's no wall opened up. No one can shoot us from north side. Let's just go for it and try and make a plant happen. Sure, it would have opened just after, but a castle with a super shorty in hand versus someone on window with an AR, know who I back in that kind of gunfight. But still, a little more kind of restraint shown there, nothing too crazy, and things can carry on from here. And they carry on well for MIBR. 2 kills coming in the early round, looking to maybe balance things up at 3-3 here. Although it's felt like FaZe have been sharp in a couple of rounds, MIBR have matched them step for step so far.
Yeah, there was just some shock and awe to begin with from FaZe, but MIBR have done really, really well to just sort of put the brakes on FaZe and stop them running away with this before MIBR were able to get themselves into the game. The last 2 rounds particularly, they've just controlled the pace where the gunfights have been happening, but here come FaZe fighting back. Souls and Cameraman getting one apiece, bringing us back to a 3 versus 3. Just over halfway through the round, and it just means MIBR, again, need to just take the foot off the gas, have that step back, have a little look at what's going on, and decide, do we move to plan B? Do we move to plan C? What's the next step?
Well, now the red pings are coming out as well, just to give a little bit extra assistance to the 3 that do still remain. They've got this top floor control that they were looking for here, and you can see, again, on that vertical, looking to make sure they're as geared up as possible. I imagine for Felipox, he might be the unlucky soul who's got a vault inside a site and try and look for a plant, but they're looking for something, anything, just a small opening here, and if only he knew, I tell you what, the timing there from Cameraman, if he was even a step to the right-hand side as he opened up that rotate, it'd be a dead man.
So I don't think he knows probably quite how lucky he was then. Lukin going to be filing down the east stairs, taking the long angle all the way through to customs. Just seeing if he can spot anybody out, but he won't because they're all on the other side of the map. They're all playing inside of ventilation and workshop and then back on into site. But this is allowing MIBR a little bit of access down to the bottom there. 20 seconds left to go and they're going to have to get in sight. I think that FaZe are pretty happy that they've got their angles held down here. They do indeed. Souls manages to shut down Lukin at distance. That's a 2v2 though. Plant's going down. He might be able to stick this. It's up to FaZe to try and get themselves back in. They need the cover, but no. There comes an essential kill in through the soft wall. Does he know where the man is? He does. He goes for the kill. Does not get it as Bullet is able to wheel around 180, take his man and save the round.
It's unreal there. He knew exactly where he was too, but Bullet still gets the 180 and finds the kill. Brilliant round for FaZe, and that spray as well, not having any control of waiting area. The spray through the softball, it was absolutely beautiful by FaZe. A well-deserved 4-2 half overall. MIBR probably kicking themselves a little bit, feeling this could have been a 3-3, but now they'll have to battle their way down from a 2-round deficit.
Armory Lockers, it will be as the primary site of choice for MIBR. They now head on to the defense. We keep expecting the attackers to have the better of things on border. We've been expecting it all weekend, but it still hasn't shown up. Quite often, teams are struggling to attack this site now. The defenders just seeming to have got a better grasp on things over the last month or so. So MIBR, can you match or better what FaZe Clan have just done? You're going to have to if you want to extend your lead here in this best of 5 grand final. This is the first map, of course. It's 1-0 up at the top of your screen, but that's because MIBR come from the upper bracket, so they start with a 1-map advantage, and they will only need to win 2 maps to FaZe's 3 if they want to take the title.
Well, the beauty of it all, of course, is that Skyscraper is that next map, Tim. So you know what I'm like for Skyscraper map. Absolutely in love with it. Very excited we get to see that guaranteed as the 3rd map in this series. But if things do carry on, of course, there are still 2 more waiting around the corner. And as a reminder, they are Oregon and they are Kafe. So 2 very much staples of Siege, it feels like, if we get that far into the series. And FaZe so far has started off really well and ensuring we'll see at least one of those 2 maps.
Cameraman just going to be getting the Claymores down. 2 in pocket now, of course. That's going to prevent not any runouts, but it's at least going to prevent some runouts so they can play with a little bit more.
Double.
They are very concerned about that window. They don't want anybody coming out of the office window, which is reasonable because it would probably slice their attack in 2 and make it very difficult to complete anything. So we're going to double Claymore that. They're going to have no explosives going out of the window there. We're going to have the Book of Souls just heading underneath there. Going to be opening up and making things difficult for the defenders inside. A couple of strategic holes in the ceiling is going to make it very tricky for them to keep hold of positions near the bomb chassis, near half wall, for example, can all be dealt with from underneath.
Absolutely. It's worth stressing again, I spoke about this on the Shrine window jump out that you have on Skyscraper. Some teams, especially in APAC North, where we have a lot of aggression from teams like Cyclops, will put 2 Claymores on the window. 2 Claymores, 2 dead. FaZe already falling by the wayside as MIBR start out strong. But Tim, let's not forget, last round was also a 5 versus 3, only to come back into being a 3 versus 3. And Cameraman has already started doing some work to ensure we have that status quo once again.
Having a good game so far. He's had a couple of important kills, just needs to continue on really. Bullet looking for the vertical nade, not going to catch anybody. Does a tiny bit of damage onto Reduct, but nothing to write home about. Astro getting the angles into sight. Shut down by Raps though, as they now push on and get control completely back in their hands. Reduct closes it out downstairs. Bullet absolutely no idea he was walking into him. He drops down the hatch, gets right in front of him. There you go.
Thank God. I was genuinely like, because he just completely missed the guy right in front of him. I'm glad he dropped hatch. I didn't hear it, but hey, we'll take those. All good. For MIBR, that's the kind of first round they want in this half, then bringing things back up to 3 and 4. Still around lagging in behind FaZe, who didn't really have the most prolific start to that attacking half. But hopefully here, after that first round, they start to warm back into things and they can push on towards, not quite a win, but at least getting us towards that overtime mark guaranteed.
Bathroom will be the second site of choice for MIBR. The thing is, MIBR could be in a good position here. If they get this done, go on a 3rd choice to Ventilation Workshop and say they win that. You 5-4 up, you've had a complete defensive sweep, and you start looking like, actually, we only need to now take 2 of these again, and we can call it a job done. They'll have the map. So, important 2 rounds coming up for MIBR. It's an absolute jackpot for them if they can get both. How are they going to be setting up? They're in Bathroom and Tellers. We're going to have a presence in Armory. That's going to help them keep hold of Office. They're going to want to keep hold of that entire north side of the map, realistically, for as long as possible on the top floor. I think they're playing much more of a top 4 presence than FaZe were, but they need to be careful because when they attacked, they didn't really worry too much about the top floor. They were playing largely directly into sight, trying to go through that single window. They didn't really have too much success with it, so I suppose MIBR could hope for the best and hope that FaZe do the same and just pile in through a window, but I don't think that'll be the case.
Well, equally a little bit different here for MIBR as they haven't got Astro dancing inside of security and playing Ring Around the Roses with Twitch drones. Instead, going for a much more I don't want to say like normal or standard, but definitely a safer setup in terms of having a player behind a shield inside of Armory, looking down towards half a soft wall in West Main to contest on towards this balcony. So small stylistic differences, one a bit more mobile and risky, the other one a little bit more dug in there, but requiring a bit of utility to make it happen.
I think the note that everybody can make if you're going to be playing FaZe in the near future is don't jump out of a window. 6 claymores have been brought along. They are getting deployed all over the place, and we've seen that round after round after round. FaZe just do not want to worry about jump outs. They're doing it at the detriment of their nade count. They're only bringing 4 nades along, which, you know, with the prevalence that we're seeing at the minute of them vertical nades, it is a sacrifice because, you know, they are regularly getting kills and they obviously see it as important enough to bring those claymores.
And when you think about Border as a map, you want some kind of vertical destruction, right? And often that means leaning into more than just a sledge. Having the Ashe on side, having the Zofia does mean you've always at least got options. But like you say, it means less frag grenades. Oh, the drop comes through the Azami. Hello! Souls getting 2v1 there as Redux comes in for the trade. But to finish that point real quick, without the Nomad on side, you know that it forces them to bring Claymores along. They have less frag grenades on side. You don't need to run things like the Wamai and the Jaeger every single round. And in fact, both of these teams have generally avoided doing that throughout this game because the expectation is there that there will be more Claymores and there will be frags on side. So fair play. I can see how it's having a real big impact in the game.
Couple of kills coming in for FaZe there. Astro cameraman bullet. Cyber finishes it off. Almost 1 apiece for them. There was only Souls who didn't get involved in the action, and he'd already had his kill, so it was 1 for all. FaZe taking round number 8 and pushing us now to a 5-3, and they are looking like they could close this one out and level things up very early. In a best of 5 with a 1-map advantage, this is the dream, isn't it, really, Des? You know, you want to take that first map, just write off that advantage immediately, and then push on from there. It just puts everybody down into level pegging. It's basically a best of 3.
Well, knowing how we were at the half, again, that 4-2 with the defenders taking the lion's share of the rounds, 2 attacking rounds here is enough to get you over onto that overtime guarantee. Although ideally, of course, over towards a win. MIBR now got a bit of a mountain starting to form here. 2 rounds between them and FaZe. Got to do some work here on the defense, event, and workshop to keep this game going. And I think this is the first time round, Tim, we're seeing them now switching over to bringing along that Wamai. Just out of fear of those nades, though I wouldn't say nade kills have been massively prevalent throughout the game so far.
No, it's not something that we've seen, particularly with FaZe not bringing as many along. It's limiting their opportunity for them. We've seen them have an attempt or 2. MIBR didn't have any great success with it either. So no, definitely not something that they're sort of doubling down on at this point. We've got the Azami coming along for MIBR this time. Redux going to be playing the new operator, so we'll keep an eye on where those keeper barricades go. It's still a very sort of evolutionary play style. We're seeing a lot of changes, a lot of new ideas, a lot of teams doing things in slightly different ways, and with the flexibility of where those barriers can be placed, it's going to be a long time until we see sort of standard setups, if you will.
I guarantee you, probably in a few months' time, there's going to be one player that has just been sweating the hell out of his army in customs and has got some really wacky placements that you can abuse. And so they're going to use it and when I'm naming a spot or a certain keeper barrier after a player because it's just that impactful. Give it time and you will see some wacky stuff coming out of that gadget, I guarantee.
Oh, absolutely, no question. We're going to see a little nade coming over the top there. Can
we just agree, by the way, we're never ever going to call it the hack. Never the hack.
We're not having that, are we not?
No. It's illegal. I cannot let Hap have a call out after him naming the game. It's just not a thing.
I mean, to be fair, Hap does have some top tier Azami placement. He played her a lot when she first came out, and he got to grips with Azami very quickly, and we won a lot of rounds on the back of it.
Absolutely no surprise. But here we go then. Now we're starting to see the circle enclose here. This is like a battle royale all of a sudden, Tim. As slowly we're starting to see barriers smashed down, soft walls opened up, FaZe Clan closing in from seemingly every single side of the map. Cameraman on West Main, one on Sandwich Rappel, the rest of them all moving in now. And here comes Cyber looking in towards Fountain. They've closed down, they're sandwiched in. They've absolutely crushed MIBR on this defense here, Tim. And this is the round they were looking for. Falls with it all to do. He's only got 2 kills to his name, not his best performance so far, and he's got to hold back the onslaught of Cameraman, Souls and Cyber in this 1 versus 3 with still about half the round to play.
It just really puts MIBR on the back foot because there's then no more mistakes. They're going to have to get it done, you know, in 3 rounds consecutively. And given how it's gone so far, you got to look at that and say that it's pretty unlikely. FaZe are going to be feeling pretty good. Foles will detonate the nitro that we saw in place. It's not going to have any joy, and Cyber is able to go in and start putting that diffuser down. There's somebody on the main door, so very unlikely that the peak is going to be allowed here, as he will have to pass cameraman.
Surely sees the man outside. No, just about misses him, looking for the rappel, but cameraman was on ground level, wasn't quite taking off just yet. That's match point moving up here for the side of FaZe, Tim, and it feels like they might just be on for a map 1 win to give us a reset and then move us into what is then basically a justified best of 3.
We're going to have a tactical timeout come in for MIBR as they just decide this is the time to put the brakes on. I always feel like
Reasonable.
Maybe a little bit late now. You know, when a team waits until the others have got that map point, until they've got on to 6 rounds, and then you call the tactical timeout, I just think you've lost all your wiggle room. You've lost all your opportunity to give something a try here. And, you know, yep, they're going to try and fix whatever's going on. They're going to try and get back into it, but there's no room for mistakes now, and it just adds pressure onto this tactical timeout. For me, bring it around a go when it's 5-3 and give yourselves the opportunity to be like, right, we spoke about this, let's go and do this. Oh, it hasn't worked, we've still got another opportunity. I just always think it's a little bit late on that 6th round.
No, I do agree with you as well, because normally by that point, as you say, it's sort of panic stations. You've got no more room for error. The attackers equally have got, or the winners or the victors or those in the lead, whatever you want to say, have got the ability to come up with something a bit wacky for that potential last round and just keep you guessing. They know they've got room to play with. Like, FaZe in that last round, I wouldn't quite call it a rush, but once they kind of, again, started enclosing that circle, they got the soft walls open, they knew exactly where they were going to go to get towards site. As soon as they pulled that trigger and they were taking 2v1s everywhere and hitting them on the flank, MIBR just looked completely lost. So it's like there's a lot of stabilization work for MIBR to do, whereas FaZe, they can look to do the same thing again. They can play in behind a shield. They can play a normal round. All the options are in their court right now.
This is, you know, that's exactly the point that you've made there. If I'm sat on the other team, if I'm winning 6-3 at this point, and the other team calls their tactical timeout, I've got 3 rounds in hand, and I think, right, they're planning for what they think we're gonna do. Well, you know, they're trying to fix whatever they think is broken right now, based on what we've done so far. So let's just do something completely wildly different. Let's just bring out a complete cheese round, like you say, maybe rush into side, you know, whatever it might be. Let's just do something that's not going to be on their radar whatsoever, because then sort of whatever talk has been had at that point, it's sort of redundant almost, because, you know, you're going to be bringing something vastly different to the table, and you can take that chance because you're on that point, you've got a couple of rounds spare. So I don't know, we'll see how it goes. We'll see whether MIBR are able to turn this round out. It's going to be Bathroom that they are looking to hold down. FaZe eager now, you can just feel it in them. They've been very aggressive throughout this entire map. And the thing is, this isn't their map choice either, Des. You know, MIBR have chosen this map to start, I believe it was. I'll double check, but if that, you know, that being the case, it's not a good start for them.
No, this is MIBR's pick indeed, yeah. FaZe opted to start on the defense as well, which was interesting, again, given the lean for this map that we've seen historically, being very attacker-sided. You compare that back to our last series. In fact, it's the exact mirror of what we saw in the last series, where last series we had 3 of the teams using to solve 3 of the teams. 3 of the picks were starting on the attacking side, 1 in defense, but the defense was the very last map. Here we've got the 3 of the picks being on the attacking start and only 1 on defense, but that's the first map, which is this one. The next 3 maps, all the teams that have had the choice of what side they start on have opted to go on attack. Yes, even on Kafe and Oregon. And Sky.
Still no opener inside of the first minute. Lukid's going to be playing on the hatch there, just waiting for anybody trying to come in through that window. We'll be looking to get them shut down, but pressure will no doubt mount in towards Office. I don't think he's going to be allowed to play there for too much longer. Philippok's on the Azami, just trying to, again, create that safe space, use those Kiba barricades to get the angles locked down. Cyber working his way through to the top of East Stairs, and Astro has managed to get himself in underneath. This could be a dangerous position for the defenders if they don't pick up on him.
Absolutely. Well, here comes Lukid as well, getting himself into a firefight. Cyber cleaning up for Philippoks to be there for the trade on that Azami, mind you, and is still going to keep on ruling the roost at the top of waiting area. Raps finding one back on the other side, but this top floor is now compromised. The attackers moving in, and MIBR have really got to dig in deep. Raps finding a critical kill. MIBR might have done enough here as a third goes down. 3v2, but Souls and Astro, they pulled it back to a 2v2, Tim.
20 kills between the two of them so far. There's Souls and
Ludicrous.
Astro going absolutely wild at the minute. Souls inside of office now, established with that vertical control, looking to put pressure into sight. We can see that's where both of the MIBR defenders are, or at least they're on the ground floor. Astro manages to find Raps. 1v2 now. Falls has to hold on, and he's got a long time to go. 40 seconds with a man above you. That is not going to be easy. Souls doesn't have any option to open up the floor, but if Astro does go and join him, he's got a couple of soft breach charges, so if they want to get any vertical angles to then cover a potential plant, they can, but they're going to have to move very, very quickly. I don't think it's going to be an option now. Down towards 20 seconds. Astro is droning, and there they go. They've spotted him. They know exactly where Falls is. It's all about the manhunt now. It's just about chasing him down, finding him. Astro has the diffuser in hand. He can get inside of sight and put this down should the opportunity present itself, but he needs to be aware that Falls has made the rotate, but they have outmaneuvered him here. He's going to look for the toxic wave canister. He should be able to do this, but Astro can stick it, and he will manage to. Out goes the second. Astro is looking to make the challenge. Souls finishes it off as he supports the man around the corner, and that is going to be the round.
A comfortable first map for FaZe, interestingly. Yeah, like, for MIBR, that being their map pick, everyone coming in, upper bracket, feeling maybe they had something to show here today. They've just had the floor wiped with them, Tim. I didn't even really feel it was close. I know they had 3 rounds on the board, but to me, that was the FaZe show.
Finished inside of about 35 minutes as well. No messing about from FaZe. This is because they've played some of those rounds so aggressively. They're finishing by like the halfway mark. They've really cut through that map in short time.
Border is that kind of map though, right? It does reward aggression, it does reward pace, and FaZe really showed that they knew what pace meant coming into this map. When you go onto a map like Skyscraper, which is our next one, things could vary up a little bit. It's not so easy to get in towards sight. It does require a little more teamwork and coordination, slowing things down, but I have a lot of confidence based on what we just saw out of FaZe. If I were MIBR right now, I'd be feeling quite nervous, Tim. Let's go to a quick break. When we come back, our analysts will break down Border for you. See you in a few.
जब चढ़ाई में चलो चढ़ने में तो इतनी प्रॉब्लम नहीं होती, तो थोड़ा सी बर्फ़ में यहाँ पे आंगन में ही थोड़ा सा पैर फ्रैक्चर हो गया था। मेरा नाम सीमा ठाकुर है, मैं हाउसवाइफ हूँ। वैक्सीन लगवाने के लिए हमें टूटू जाना पड़ता है, नहीं तो नहीं आयुर्वेदिक वो भी है ऊपर। बच्चों के साथ आधा घंटा लग जाता है। गिरब में जो है डिस्पेंसरी, उसके लिए आधा घंटा लग जाता है। जो टूटू जाना हो तो टूटू जाने में पौना घंटा बच्चों के साथ लग जाता है और पैदल जाना पड़ता है। बारिश बर्फ़ में तो बहुत मुश्किलें होती है, क्योंकि बच्चों के साथ आना जाना बहुत दिक्कत होती है।
मेरा नाम कृष्ण लाल है जी, और मैं स्वास्थ्य विभाग में, क्योंकि कुछ साल पहले ऐसा होता था कि गांव में पता ही नहीं चलता था लोगों को कि क्या है, कोई पोलियो है कि कोई जानता नहीं था। अब जब सरकार ने इसके लिए इस तरीके के अभियान छेड़े, जब तक हमारे को पूरा कंफर्म नहीं होगा कि इस बच्चे ने यहाँ पे दवाई नहीं पी या पिलाई या नहीं पिलाई, चले जाओ आप दूर दराज के क्षेत्र में चले जाओ, तो हमारे को कोई ऐसा केस या ऐसा कोई बच्चा, अगर यहाँ बच्चा आ गया तो हमने यहाँ भी पिलानी है। किसी कारणवश अगर बच्चा हो जाता, गांव में लोग रहते, क्या पता क्या मजबूरी है उसको, क्यों नहीं आया बच्चा, क्या पता वो बीमार है या कोई उसको कोई और प्रॉब्लम है। तो हमारा ये है कि भी हम, हमारे पास पूरी वो होती है लिस्ट बनी हुई ना, कि हमारा अब लोकल जी में तो पता ही होता है सबको कि फलानी जगह बच्चा फलानी जगह, तो हमारे पूरा पता है कि फलाना बच्चा फलानी जगह से नहीं आया। वो तो हम क्या करते हैं, जैसे 4 बजे तक आज हम दवाई पिलाएंगे तो नेक्स्ट डे उसको घर में जाके दवाई पिलाए। वही जैसे मैंने पहले कहा कि भी ऐसा नहीं होता कि भी उसको उस सुविधा से वंचित रहना पड़ेगा।
And welcome back, friends, to the studio, to the top of our Skyscraper. Now, before we talk about that Skyscraper, which is coming up next as technically map 3 of this series between MIBR and FaZe, let's talk about our first one. FaZe taking a border, Jess.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really expect it because this is MIBR's map pick, and the last time they went head-to-head, it was a pretty dominant showing from MIBR. So I feel like there's revenge in the waters. I think FaZe are looking back on that last game and going, we don't like what we put out there. We know we're better than this. And I mean, a lot of us know how good FaZe is just in the regular league anyway. So I think there's been a little part of us that had wanted to see FaZe operate at this level. Plus, they possibly have the most annoying border setup I've ever seen in my entire life on defense. So for me personally, as much as I hate it, I love it because they've gone, this works for us. It's really annoying to the attackers and we can take full advantage of it, which they absolutely did.
Yeah, and I mean, like, talking about the defenses as well, like, we were talking about how they were playing a lot of these operators, like Alibi, like Legion, like, a lot of these ops that really want to, like, take gunfights with you, they want to swing you, they want to engage with you on the roam. There was never any catching operators. Catching operator being, like, a type of operator that can catch grenades. There was never a Jaeger, there was never a Wamai, there was never even an Aruni who could theoretically catch some of those grenades. And so I was a little confused why we weren't seeing more of that grenade play coming through from MIBR. Typically, it was only Raps that was trying to bring grenades. A couple of times we saw Falls or Reduct jump in and bring a couple of nades, but typically there was never any grenade play coming through from MIBR. So, I mean, maybe part of that is the map, right? Border can have some of those big open rooms where it can be hard to land grenades, but I do think like an area of the map like Armory and like Lockers, you really can find some of those great angles to toss nades in and get some advantages. But instead, MIBR kind of walked right into those defenses that FaZe were setting up with a lot of those kind of aggressive ops that like to swing and take fights, and they weren't really trying to get an advantage with the grenade play, which was something I would have liked to see.
Oh, well, grenade play. I mean, you've seen this over the past year where grenades, explosives, and general throwables have been so important for attackers, and you get one kill and then suddenly snowballs into round because we know the advantage it gives you, especially on the attack and especially on border on top of that when you're able to get an entry kill. So that's one map. But as we turn our attention to Skyscraper, not just the one that we are on currently, as you see, the wind is howling and my hair is, flying all over in this, but Skyscraper is next. And we've seen it a few times. We've seen it first today in our EU final here, but what is there to expect in that for FaZe MIBR, Jess?
Well, I mean, the only teams in this particular region of this tournament that have played it are the two teams that are not playing right now. So we're really, we're throwing back to other teams in the region. So I won't reference that one so much. But what I can say is that just like Border, it's another quote-unquote unknown quantity. And what happened to MIBR when they picked an unknown quantity and tried to take it to FaZe, they got taught a deep, deep lesson. So I think I'm wondering whether or not that will happen in the reverse here, whether or not we'll see FaZe's map pick here come out of Skyscraper and then MIBR suddenly becomes, the gods on it, So for me, I am a little worried. Unknown quantities so far don't have a good correlation with win rates. So far, I do think that some of the defenses of FaZe, if they replicate that annoyingness we saw on Border and you do it on Skyscraper, which is very, very possible, we know the map structure, it's just sort of like Border on top of each other kind of thing, then I just totally think there's an opportunity for them to just really run riot on this. So which side are they starting on? Let's have a little look here. MIBR attack, no. FaZe start defense again. Oh, oof. Ladies and gentlemen, it's gonna hurt. First half's gonna hurt. Yep.
Well, Jesse, final thoughts before we get into game? What do you think?
Skyscraper is a map that MIBR have never won in their history. New map, obviously, a small sample size, but still, this is going to be an uphill battle from them against FaZe Clan, who have taken a win on this previously in the BR6 season. So I'm leaning towards FaZe once again, but anything could happen.
Anything can happen. We already saw it in EU. Spoiler alert, by the way, this is the time to mute, is just in case. Wild has lost that. Well, lost kind of going into Skyscraper. So a tough time in there. We had Wild going in, upper bracket advantage, and they were able to take it through after they lost that second map. So there is potential here that MIBR can kind of close this map and kind of move it forward, or FaZe could get the advantage for the first time. As now, of course, they are tied 1-1. Our casters are ready. Our game is ready. MIBR versus FaZe continues. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Milos. Tim, made in Brazil, definitely not made in Border, but could Skyscraper be where they reach new heights? FaZe looking dominant today. We've already said it's feeling like they're a little more switched on than MIBR, but maybe, just maybe, it's that first map jitters and we see a different MIBR here in Skyscraper.
Possibly. I mean, hopefully. My expectations went right out of the window on board, didn't they? You know, 35 minutes, up one and done. FaZe go in there and just tear them apart. It's not the FaZe that we saw 2 days ago. Is the top and bottom of that one. They are just looking much, much better today. And to be honest, I think that sort of characterises FaZe since that major win. And I know I keep referencing back, but the period of time in between, it has been inconsistency. You know, they haven't been able to maintain those same high standards every single game, but it certainly seems like they've switched on today. They've leveled things out. We find ourselves, although it's an overall best of 5, it's effectively now a best of 3 from here on out, and MIBR, they need to hit that reset and book quite quickly.
They do indeed get themselves back into the fray because we're getting into Skyscraper right now. Ying, the first ban being taken off the board by FaZe. MIBR switching over to them for the next attacking ban. Thatcher quite possibly coming through here. No, it's going to be the Ossa. Tim, one of those picks that we've spoken about a number of times when it comes to this attack at the top of Black, especially when trying to push in for the karaoke and T attack. Clearly, that is just enough of a ban that needs to come through purely for that site because we haven't really seen Oster used for any of the other sites.
No, it is pretty much there. I mean, the first couple of times we ever saw Skyscraper, I think we saw a few attempts. It was in APAC particularly. We saw a few attempts of using Ossa in other locations. You know, they were getting the shields put down in Dragon towards Exhibition Office, that kind of thing. But none of them really worked out or developed any popularity. So, yeah, it's pretty much trying to deal with karaoke T-push there. We're going to have Kaid and Azami coming in as our final defender bans there. So, no surprises there. We've seen the Azami ban rate. I won't go as far as 50-50, but we've certainly seen her in quite a few of these maps.
Absolutely, yeah. I think her and Finker have kind of been dancing in and out of that ban spotlight now for a few days. I know when we saw Rogue play, obviously Spoit drew that target ban a couple of times, but other teams also a couple of days ago did ban it away here on the A stream. Wasn't quite sure about the story of the B stream though and how often it was banned away there. But either way, I digress. We're into game, Tim, and we are indeed going to start out on that site that now should feel, I'm not going to say viable, but more viable than before. It's going to be that karaoke and T site. And MIBR have kind of taken the Ossa ban in their stride here. They've gone straight over to picking up the Monty here for their attack, coupled up with things like the Finker on side, of course, and the Capitao. Capitao, one of those operators that for me is just the ultimate execution-focused operator. He can make anchors move with the firebolts. He can block off lines of sight with the asphyxiation, or smoke bolts as they're now called. That's what the firebolts are called. Firebolts, smoke bolts,
Asphyxiation arrows.
Asphyxiation arrows, they used to be called. They got renamed to firebolts.
Did they? Oh, well, I mean, it's a bit more.
I don't know. It's a bit more straightforward and probably a little bit less graphic as well.
Probably a combination of the two. Yeah, thinking towards new players. If you say to a new player, oh, it's the asphyxiation, you know,
they're like, what?
It's not necessarily like,
you go, no new
firebolt.
Just hit them on the head. Look, fire. Oh, yes, what it come from? It come from bolt. Yeah, firebolt. Okay, I understand. Very good. Excellent. Firebolts and smoke bolts. We're all on the same page with that one. But yeah, I think it's going to be all about that. Oh, Cyber. Hello, Raps. How's it going, buddy?
That's going to be a big opener for FaZe, and MIBR need to be careful here because the problem is that FaZe could continue at the pace that they left off on Border. Jess spoke about how annoying their defences were to play into and that frustration, and that's not going to help at all. If they can carry on like that, MIBR are going to be backs to the wall, and Skyscraper could become a very difficult place very, very quickly. They need to get Reduct in here, and they need to get him to start bullying these defenders so that they're not having it all their own way.
Oh, well, Reduct
that is bad news.
He's literally swallowing lungfuls of smoke there as well. Lost half of his HP to the smokes from Cameraman, who's got himself in a really interesting position. Normally where the smoke is sat, you'll have an attacker coming up Black there and looking to support the push on the other side. But with no one trying to threaten from below, Cameraman can sit here and very comfortably challenge into that Monty. So perhaps a small oversight by MIBR.
They need Reduct to push him here, really. They have to get Cameraman moved. Nade is
good nade.
And that's going to do the job. That's what they were waiting for from Luke. At least leaves us now in a 4v4, just over the halfway mark, and the march can continue. Reduct taking more damage. He needs to be careful, down to about 35-40 health. It's not going to take too much to finish him off. There won't be any more Toxic Babe canisters coming his way, but he does have defenders on both sides of him, so the angle could be found onto his flank.
Oh, Cyber, does he know about the man? Oh, Lukin knows about him. Do you want to touch on the excellent play that came around that nade kill onto the smoke, by the way? They had the firebolt on the top side of stairs, so he couldn't run up. So either he had to run down to the window or sit still and get killed by the nade. Either way, that smoke was dying no matter what happened. Lukin, what is wrong with this guy? Lukin the Ludicrous, a triple kill in the round with a spray through the smoke. Really setting this round on fire for MIBR. Now they've got to get this setup coming through, though. There's a C4 left in Bullet's back pocket. That could be a big difference maker, but it feels like they've got some of the control they need to make it execute happen.
They feel like they've just been a little bit sloppy on this round compared to how they were on board. They've just overextended. They've exposed themselves to angles. Bullet has now killed Astro. Like, they've just been a little... I mean, it's perfectly timed for me, isn't it? Just as I'm saying that they've been a little bit sloppy about a couple of things that they've done. Cameraman left himself exposed to a nade operator at the bottom of stairs. Didn't have an ADS or anything to sort of try and help him out. A magnet from the Wamai. You know, there was just nothing in place there to keep him. Bullet, he's going to miss the defuse going down, so he's now going to make his way back upstairs. They know exactly. Look at they've got Capitao perched at the top of the stairs. Philippox is just waiting for him to come up here. He's going to die as soon as his head pops above that step. You know that it's coming. There you go. Philippox steps around with support from Twitch, and that is going to be the end of the round. Great start for MIBR. FaZe looking a little off the pace there for me.
Do you think Bullet heard clown music when that C4 came out? Just...
I think Astro probably did.
Oh no, because Astro was the unfortunate. He was the guy who got.
That's what I mean. He's the one sat there thinking I'm playing in a circus here.
Oh, admittedly though, a lot of that did come from Luki there with a really solid start to the round as well, just marching his way forwards. The grenade kill onto the smoke, the spray through the smoke to get another kill as well. Landed himself a 3K. A really good round for Lukin, I want to say, rather than MIBR. I did comment on how, okay, well, you've got the Monty coming in. He's lost half his HP already. There's no control on Black. Sure, you get the pinch onto the smoke, but it did take about 30 seconds to respond. And really, for Cameraman, once he burnt through those 3 smoke canisters, that probably was the sign to drop away. Because you full well know the attackers want control of Black, and they will be sending someone after you. Whether or not he felt he had cover from a teammate downstairs for that or not, I don't know. But when the grenade came singing in through the window, accompanied by the firebolts, he was never getting out of there alive.
MIBR were ready for another similar push onto Karaoke and T. You can see the attacker repick swapping away the Capitao, swapping away the Monte, and just changing up the attacker lineup. That's been one of the most valuable uses, of course, of attacker repick so far, is to be able to sort of avoid that situation of setting up for the wrong site. You now at least always should be on the right plan every single time. So MIBR, they're going to be attacking this time onto Kitchen and Barbecue. They're going to want control over the same area of the map. They're going to want Karaoke Tea, and they're going to want Geisha so that they can then start heading down into sight. But for the time being, it's looking very lateral.
It is indeed, and that's not really a bad thing. We speak about some teams that don't ever really make use of the verticals. Some teams use them to the extremes. I think about Rogue when I say that kind of statement. They absolutely love playing verticals with nades on this map, or in explosives in general. I think, again, between these two teams, we're not seeing a massive lean into the nade meta overall. Even with things like the Finker, the Yarn, and the Maverick available, we're only really seeing 2 sets of nades coming in, one from the Sledge and one coming out of the Finker as well. Otherwise, they're leaning in towards things like the Buck and the Twitch, so leaning in towards other forms of utility, which is, I guess, nice to see. It means you have more options and more tools to use for your executes than just relying on nades to soften the enemy team up, especially when a Bullet does the job just as well. It's Cyber, this time round, shutting down the hero of round 1. Lukin's off the board.
Better start for FaZe this time. They need to iron out that sloppiness. They need to make sure they're not over-peaking, not overexposing, not leaving themselves in dangerous positions like that. Raps able to just step around and get the kill, level things up 4 versus 4. Cyber gets taken down on the Arune, and this is good pressure coming in from MIBR. They've got that top floor area surrounded. They can start moving in and taking a little bit of control over the next 30 to 40 seconds, and then they've got time to work and soften up sight and look to get that execute off. Reduct, he is now inside of the map. Interestingly, he's gone in on the first floor. He's very close to sight in the toilets there, and he's going to be looking to get aggressive. Razor Bloom is going to force Raps back for the time being, but he clears out the Banshee while he's there, and then he can look to aggress forward.
This is all about top floor as well. This is where the war's still taking place, whereas down on site itself, you've got a couple of members starting to square up for a potential execute, but they know they want that top floor control to really make this comfortable, else you could just be running into your death from above when things finally kick off. Redux, at least for now, being held back by one of those smoke canisters coming out from Cameraman, the second deployed just after, but you know that means that clock is running down. Around about that 25-second mark, we'll start seeing a move come through, and there's that death I was talking about from above, Tim. It's 2 big kills coming out of Astro, but into sight comes Falls, brings down 1. Cameraman on the deck, and now 1 on Sushi in a little bit of danger here, being pressured from Pantry side for Leapox, a nade in hand, bouncing it up towards Black. Will he find the man rotating down? No, he will not. But you can see these players starting to collapse in, only for Bullet to find the kill. It's looking unlikely here that Falls pulls out a 1 versus 3 in 10 seconds. Bullet with the close, 2 big kills at the end, and FaZe get themselves on the board.
Yeah, much better round from FaZe. As I say, just had a better control of that one. Didn't look sloppy, you know, weren't killing each other. They took the opening death, which wasn't ideal, but they were able to then lock it down. And it just feels like maybe FaZe found their feet a little bit inside of that round, and we're going to see a little bit more border out of them and a little bit less of round 1. So heading into round 3, FaZe are going to be taking the defense this time back to Karaoke and Tea Room. Okay, ball call. They do have Exhibition and Office available, but they've decided instead they're going to go back to that round 1 site. Honestly, I think if they just prepare for it a little bit better, Cameraman's position was fine where he was. It did a good job of holding back the Monty, but he just didn't have the utility he needed to support him. He needs more magnets down there that are spread out sufficiently so that he's not going to get naded out. You know, that's something that they need to do. Either that or he doesn't play there. He plays somewhere else. Usually the smoke's going to play inside a T and just peek around the corner to get those canisters deployed.
That's what Leon was doing earlier on as well, so yeah, makes absolute sense. Or like I said earlier on, once you've gone through your 3 smoke canisters and wasted a bit of time, get out of dodge, rotate back downstairs, go back through restaurant, because you know full well the attackers want that ground that you're sat on and will come for you at any cost. On MIBR's side, the comp is looking very much the same here. The only real change being that Jackal for Leapox picking that one up here. They want to go Roma hunting, boys. They want to try and find out where these Romas are that are sat behind the cover of these mutant mozzies. And in fact, Cameraman already almost losing his life there, down to just below half HP.
Not a good start. Again, for FaZe, much more on the back foot than they were in border of these first 3 rounds so far. They're just getting challenged a bit more border. They were able to get aggressive, get up in the faces of the attackers, but Skyscraper just not playing in quite the same way for them. Skyscraper just a slightly bigger map, more rooms to deal with, more angles, border a little bit more simplistic in that way. So I think that's just playing into if FaZe are trying to do the same thing, trying to get aggressive. That's why they're getting hit from these sort of unexpected locations sometimes. Now then, Redux is on the move at the minute. We'll see where he ends up, but this is basically in response, I think, to Cameraman's position on those stairs last time, holding them at bay for so long. So we're going to get ourselves down to the bottom of Black Stairs. We're going to push up there instead, and we're not going to allow the smoke to play in that location.
Yep, I mean, at least for here, it's again much of the same. The Finker coming in from below, looking to remove Cameraman, who would have been on the stairs previously. This time round, I imagine, has course corrected that position, especially after losing half of his HP. Redux is going to be the big focus because, again, that Monty is sort of the tip of the spear. It's a dull spear. It's not exactly very deadly, but it is a very robust front of the spear at the very least. So he is going to be the big focus for them, and me may well try and find other members of MIBR looking to capitalize on the chaos that he calls. I'm pretty sure that got caught out by the Mozzie earlier on. That's why he just shot out his own shock drone.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a funny location, isn't it? I'm sort of, my brain's ticking around thinking, did the Mozzie capture it and put it up there?
Yes, he did.
Is there a way to get up there without throwing it? Or did the Pest go up there and it was just a really good preempt? I'm not sure which way around, but either way, Bullet is going to pick up the opening kill, and that's a big one, Des. He's taking down the Monty. That's Redux gone, and that is going to be a big part of this attack that is missing.
Well, thinking about it, maybe I should put the drone up there. The Mozzie saw it and then just shot it, right? Like, why not?
Possibly, yeah.
Oh, the quandaries and quarrels and concerns of this positioning of this drone. How did it ever get there? We'll never know. Raps on the Iana decoy, looking to charge his way forward. Cameraman letting those smoke canisters sing here in towards Black to slow them down. Lucas stepping around, hoping to find someone on the other side of the rotate, but there is no one there. I say that, they've just stepped back across. The nades come through and they think surely a second one doesn't follow. Lucas could pay the price here if he's not too careful. Another nade up and over the top. Will they get gunned down here as they step their way forwards? One man trying to challenge from inside of T itself, and now stepping across. There's no one there ready and waiting. Cameraman, a shotgun in hand. Luke is stepping forward to find Bullet at 4 versus 4. It's all going to go off in the last 10 seconds, Tim.
It's just a Hail Mary at this point as the Jackal tries to get into sight, gets killed trying to do so, and then we're going to have the diffuser actually going down now. Can FaZe do anything about this? 1v3, it's unlikely. Cameraman, he gets gunned down by Lukid, waiting for him to cross, and that is going to be the round for MIBR. Another successful attack onto Karaoke and T.
Lukid is just becoming the slayer of Black Stairs, isn't he? That's another round where he's found himself with 2 or 3 kills coming through once he gets established on the top of those stairs. An absolute demon, Tim. And FaZe will be having nightmares about him later on, I'm sure. A good little push in as well from Fools, it's worth noting, to give them that sort of side angle pressure, so it's not just a one and done job of, okay, one of us is standing top black, we're getting the plant down at the same time. No, they made sure they had a little bit more going for them than that. And MIBR, sorry, FaZe, just caught sleeping a little bit there, I think, as well. Didn't really respect exactly how much firepower was coming in from the north side.
Round number 4 then, FaZe are going to mix things up. They are not going back to Karaoke and T for a 3rd time. You can't blame them, having lost it twice. This time it's going to be Exhibition and Office. They've got the reinforcers in place on the double wall, and it's a pretty standard setup. Otherwise, interestingly, they've got the mirror coming along. So for anybody who doesn't know, you could be looking over at that side and thinking, I didn't think the defenders had defender repick. They don't. What that is signifying is that the operator was changed during the pick phase that comes before the prep phase. So when we see the defenders picking their operators, Bullet initially picked Jaeger and then moved on to the mirror. So it just signifies that a change in the lineup was made during the pick phase.
Absolutely. It's, I know the first time we saw it, we were all just like, wait.
Like, what?
Is that a thing now? Like, absolutely not, no. Just a small little indication. I believe it was Jesse who figured it all out as well, wasn't it?
I believe it was, yeah.
Yeah, put it on Twitter as well, getting large and in charge on Twitter, saying, guys, don't worry. I've cracked the case. Inspector Jesse is on the case. And we did then have that little explanation to guide us, which is always lovely. Attackers, of course, still with it in full flow. But for this round, they're stuck once again with that Monty. MIBR finding success so far, 2-1 up on the attacking side, clearly saying, you know what, boys? If it ain't broke, don't try and fix it. Just keep on cracking on, rolling out the same thing, maybe change an operator or two around it. Say here, for example, they've got 6 breaching rounds on side. I'm not 100% sure on what the use case for those breaching rounds is going to be, but they've got them on side anyway, plus the Thatcher in case they come across mute jammers, which of course they will.
Thatcher making life much easier for Falls here as he gets the double wall opened real quick. That's the breach sorted, and that's reception wall opened as well. So that is the hard breaching work done for the Thermite. He just now needs to sit back, get on the drones, and try and find himself a kill or 2 as a little bonus. Redux has the diffuser in hand on the Monty. He's going to be one who looks to push into sight. He could well go and stick his face into that breach. As long as there's a little bit of cover onto the single door that could be the run out, he can then just feed information in. For the time being, he's going to be doing the same job from the single window. And MIBR, they're getting themselves quite advanced here. They're into positions whereby they could start looking to challenge into sight. They'll do exactly that. Raps, he is not stopping there despite taking damage, but Cameraman has been backed away down to about 25 health. He keeps the toxic babe canisters going. That's 2 out of 3 deployed, and Redux gets aggressive.
Oh, gets shot in the back though as well. Souls, no idea where he just picked him up from. It might have been through the softball, but surely wouldn't have had the angle. Either way, your main man in the Monty is gone, and that is the real pain in this round. Cameraman with a shotgun onto Raps gets traded out by Falls just a couple of seconds later, and we end up in a 4 versus 3. FaZe looking likely to hold on here. Despite losing their smoke, they've still got a C4 in back pocket. They've got the numbers advantage. The Monty is gone. Things are looking good. So MIBR have really got to pull something out the bag here, and that's one way to do it. Lukid, go kill. What an incredible strategy.
The big problem for MIBR at the minute is that the diffuser is down inside of sight, so they're going to have to go in and collect that because, of course, Redux was carrying it when he went on his long mission in and was shot in the back. Astro is going to find Lukid out underneath. 2v2, though, as Falls manages to trade out and get one for himself. They also recover the diffuser, but there's the Nitro. Brings us down now to a 1v1 for Leapox versus Bullet. Bullet with the health advantage and the Vector in hand. Not an easy gun to go up against. He's getting constant red pings here to feed information in, and with time ticking down, there's no option but for him to stick this plant now, and that is exactly what Bullet was waiting for. No opportunity to challenge back for Leapox, gets shut down, and FaZe, they get the round and level us up again, 2-2.
I was so nervous that he was going to go too soon. Then I think when he actually stepped through the laser gate, there was still time for Leapox to come off the plant and take the firefight, but Obviously, not that it really mattered. It was very, very finite, and he does step across to the right-hand side as well to make sure he's still behind cover, just in case he does come off anyway. So still smart play overall. These two teams, just like on the first few rounds of Border, Tim, back and forth, back and forth.
And it doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon. I think the halfway mark is going to be the interesting point. If we get them onto the second half, are we going to have FaZe come out and just give us an attacking masterclass, for example, and just run away with it after it's maybe 3-3 at the half? FaZe will look for at least one more round here on the defense. They're going to be going to Kitchen. We saw this back in round 2. It was another one that FaZe were able to hold on to. MIBR never really getting too much meaningful control over site or the map, to be honest. And FaZe able to find those kills almost everywhere around the map and get the round closed out.
Absolutely. Well, let's see then if we can keep things going here, if maybe MIBR can pull ahead once more, or if FaZe can keep on balancing the books. One of the two will have to take place. It's going to be this big focus up on the top floor. And finally, Tim, we are sitting a step away from the Monty. Redux here moving across to playing on the ace. Clearly not too happy about being 0-4 and just being figured out by the members of FaZe time and time again. So even with that Ossa band away now, they're saying, okay, look, guys, we've got to try something a little bit different here. Maybe ace is the play.
Right then, we're going to have, again, it was fairly lateral approach last time, at least in the early round. They didn't put too much aggression towards the top floor to begin with. Felipox is going to be heading in from the master bedroom side of things. So it's, again, a very spread out approach from MIBR here. Happy to go in ones and twos, and Redux with that quite direct approach to site. This is what we saw. Hopped in through bathroom last time and continued pushing forward from there, but didn't really get much for his troubles. Is he going to catch out? Ah, no, he makes across the doorway, and FaZe able to keep themselves alive. The Roamers up on the top floor will continue challenging. I don't think they're going to give the life away on this door this time, Raps.
Hopefully not. But again, my attention turns in towards cameraman, because for me, he's been a pivotal part of these holds on the upstairs. Right now he's playing on the downstairs. Look, he's a mile away from any of this action going on upstairs. But one thing I've probably noted is that all three of those canisters are done by about the 30-second mark. They are being deployed relatively early as kind of a, well, if we can waste a bit of time, then great. But they're not being used kind of when the critical push actually comes through, giving MIBR a lot of time and space to play with. So I'd love to see him hold on to those three for just a little bit longer than normal here. Maybe start chucking them out about the 40-second mark, assuming he's alive at that point, because that's when you're going to find you can really maximize their impacts.
Raps finding a very tight angle through onto Cyber there, able to shut him down on the rotation into Karaoke, and that might just power MIBR forward in this top floor clearance. Oh, it's too easy. It's too easy for Felipox. Catches cameraman as he's trying to put a barricade back in place, shoots him in the back. Redux shoots Souls in the back of the head, and that is going to be 5 versus 2 now as MIBR have managed to find some pace in this round. Still a minute to go, and they're getting the diffuser down, almost certainly going to stick it. Redux will be successful, so that is now FaZe seriously on the back foot. Another kill comes in for Bullet. The only question is now, can MIBR lock this out as a flawless round? Astro battling with one from above, low health, manages to find the kill, prevent the floor.
Literally 1 HP.
But with 1 HP, he has only a dream, and barely even that to go off at the minute. Might get an opportunity here as they open up the wall. Surely not. They're not going to keep feeding him. 12 seconds left. Just let him burn that time down, MIBR, because there is absolutely nothing that Astro can do realistically to go and disable that diffuser. 2 seconds left to go if he wants to have the time to do it. It has passed, and anything from here will be meaningless. Falls finishes it off with a kill onto Astro, and MIBR bounce back into the lead, 3-2.
Doing decisive fashion as well. I mean, ignoring the kind of like vanity kills there, the glory kills, whatever you want to call them, that was for all intents and purposes a flawless round and execute coming out of the attackers. MIBR, we said that, okay, look, caught asleep on Border, but maybe they'd wake up into Skyscraper. So far, they are looking far more present than they did before. What makes me a little bit nervous is knowing in that second half, we're going into FaZe's attacking half. It's their map pick, so arguably MIBR have chosen the side they'd much prefer to play here. FaZe could really start bouncing back once we get into the second set of this game.
This could be a decisive sight. It's the last defense for FaZe, and they are going to Karaoke. Round 1, MIBR win. Round 3, MIBR win. and they hold on to it this time. I don't know what they think is going to be specifically different, but MIBR could be coming into the second half with a 4-2 lead here, which would be fantastic for them, and I'm sure they'll be more than happy with that start here on Skyscraper. It's always what you're looking for, really. If in any half, the 4-2 is the default where you feel you've really got that advantage, and especially attacking onto Skyscraper, that is going to be job done for MIBR. Bullet taking a little bit of damage there, I think, from the renovation going on. That's not ideal. It's just going to leave him 1 bullet less in any gunfight that he should take, and maybe something that MIBR could take advantage of.
Never know. You absolutely never know. Looking at the attacking lineup coming out of MIBR, they're pretty standard overall. You've got the Maverick, you've got the Thermite. Those are the 2 hard breaches you want here to get through into the exhibition wall. The Flores is a bit of a different one as well, because I would wager we don't see Flores all that much on this map. I know for some teams they'll use it. BDS, again, one of those ones that jump to mind. The difficulty here is because there's a lot of single doorways for you to work your way through. You are going to be greeted by a lot of these mute jammers coming out, one of which should be on this wall. And with it not being shot out, what you've got to be mindful of on the other side is the fact that 1, you can get shot through it. 2, you can be C4'd through it, like we've already seen today. You can be impacted by bullet, potentially to deny away the exothermics too. So they've got to be really careful about how they approach getting this wall opened up.
They got it done, pretty well last time they tried to approach and get this one open, and they are going to be able to do so, but this is a seriously extended defense from FaZe Clan, and they just need to hope that they don't leave themselves too thin on the ground. Right now, MIBR are playing into it, so it's not going to be too much of a concern for them. Raps trying to find anything he can through that breach, make use of the fact that the wall has been opened up. He does see Souls, can't quite put him down, but that now is Souls and Bullet, who have both been damaged by this MIBR side.
Oh, literally the last.
I think he's surprised by that himself.
Oh, mate, yeah, absolutely. And Bullet's thinking, what the hell was that all about? He's definitely screaming right now. You just know it. Like, really should be alive at that point, but literally that last bullet, this is why you spray into soft walls, ladies and gents. You just never know what you're going to find on the other side. Redout getting a little bit of chip damage down as well onto the other side of FaZe. So, although it has taken MIBR a long time, they have walked out with 1 kill on their side and 2 half HP members on the side of FaZe.
Lukid heading out onto the rappel. Just, again, I like to see this from MIBR. They've got the Nomad brought along. They're just, locking off the stairs, making sure they're not going to get hit on the flanks. It's something that MIBR do very, very well, and that is play solid siege. They don't leave those cracks. You don't see them getting mistakes punished very often, especially by things like flanks, and that is exactly why. Just making sure that that's not going to be the case. Lukid is trying to pressure into Geisha at the minute. Cyber's just holding on for the time being. He has taken some damage, as we saw early on, but he's still all right. He's still going to be living to fight another day and holding on for as long as possible. 25 seconds left to go, Des, and they're not really in a position to be aggressing onto site. Cameraman finds Raps, levels is up at 4 versus 4, and for all the efforts they've been making, MIBR haven't really found many gains here. Philippox lucky to step back there as the shots rain in, and he's just not able to make any challenge. He's basically having to run towards site and leave somebody on their flank at the minute. Kills go either way, and how does he get away with that? He catches Cameraman as he returns back to site, and somehow they've got the diffuser going down. Cyber's underneath. He's trying to find an angle, but he can't, and the diffuser's been planted by Reduct.
This is a real smash and grab by MIBR. It looked like this round was done and dusted, but the kills all came in for MIBR. 3 in the flurry of nothing. And oh my god. I mean, naughty from Cyber and barely, but Lukid there for the trade back on the other side. Tim, I really feel like that should have been a 3-3 half, but by some, I don't want to say luck of the draw, because it was far from luck. It was clearly very capable skill. MIBR, when they spent 2 minutes trying to clear out the road, just suddenly find 3 kills out of nowhere. And FaZe Clan, they'll be kicking themselves that they couldn't hold on to that round.
I've no idea what's happened between Philippox and Cameraman there. Cameraman challenges him over in office, and Philippox runs off towards drum. I don't know how you can be surprised by him being there. Cameraman didn't pre-fire, he wasn't ADS, he was just running back to site. There's 20 seconds, where else is he running? He's only got one choice, and that is to run towards site to try and get something done. And I'm very surprised that he was caught out on his way back there as the defender, but hey ho, there we go. MIBR 4-2 then after 6 rounds, and we head into the second half of things on Skyscraper. It is going to be MIBR on the defense now, and they will kick us off with Office as their first defensive side.
10
And a Chanka coming in as well. Really interesting operator to pick up here. Where we've seen Cameraman running smoke for the entire half. You're having a Chanka coming along. Now, we can speak about Chanka a lot because you and I have done this a lot over all of Stage 1, throughout the Major, for example. I'm still not 100% convinced by him. Less so the gadget. I think everything else is okay, to be fair. The LMG, not awful. We've seen some players actually getting pretty decent kills with it, and it's fantastic for site transformation. Don't have to waste time at all. Don't have to bring along a second shotgun, of course, as well. Still have the LMG on side. It's the gadget that I'm just not convinced by. Those Shumakers are so specific in area that they kind of cover in flame. It's really good if you're trying to deny a default plant spot, and it's like the only plant spot you can really use. Outside of that, teams can just run through it and take about 25 damage and basically ignore it for the most part. It's just not all that effective, in my opinion.
No, I'd agree. I look at the amount of times we've seen a plant actively denied, and it's fairly limited. We're going to have a kill coming in on either side there. Astro, the first to go down. Philippok's traded back out, leaving us then 4v4. Soul's looking for the vertical nades at the minute, and it's not something we've seen too much success with throughout this game so far. Even here on Skyscraper, in the 6 rounds we've had, I don't recall one where we've had a kill from underneath. So very, very limited. Souls does try, but won't find any. We've got a couple of claymores on the side of FaZe, but certainly far less than we were getting on border. But of course, the jump out opportunities are fewer and far between here now. Then, as we get in towards that halfway mark, FaZe have got themselves inside of the map, and they are looking to push across from Karaoke and T.
That nade just opened below from Souls. I think was try and force Luke away or just scare him and just go, hey, you know, we've got control of bedroom, we've got the window. You can chuck those up from below, and if there's a high electric claw or bandit batteries down on the office wall, it will clear them off. I don't think at the time there were, but Luke just knowing that that floor is now open means that he can't actively go and bandit trick it. Much the same as what you're used to seeing, for example, on the club wall on Cash and CC. Stepping into flames there to go for that firefight, not quite going the way of FaZe and the way they were looking. They're down to just 3 members at this point. Tim and MIBR could well and truly be rolling onwards to a bounce back here in map 3. Well, map 2.
Certainly could be, and you just wonder what it'll do to the momentum of FaZe, what it'll do to their confidence, especially after the difficulties they had against MIBR. If they find themselves 1 map away from a loss, we'll have to see how that affects their performance and whether they're able to get back into things. Right now, they've got 40 seconds to get themselves back into this round. Souls in a pivotal position, looking to push forward. He gets himself a freebie 3v3, levels things out, and he needs the rest of the team to go with him at this point. They try to, but Lucan and Redux are ready. They cut them down as they try to move in. Souls is all alone, 1v3, shut down by Redux, and that is going to be the round. MIBR pick up number 7, and that is 5-2.
A little bit of a whiff admittedly by the Yana there, rather than so much a big play by the Chanka. Should have been dead to rights, but just slightly right aligned there to the side of the Chanka and not quite on him means that LMG kill does come through at the end. Just like we were talking about, Tim. It does feel like MIBR here have recovered. They are bouncing back through, but for all we know, we go into the next map, which is Oregon. And you could well find with it being the map pick of MIBR that FaZe suddenly swing their way back through. Who knows? But with MIBR being more awake and with them being the favourites coming into this game, I do get the feeling that going into Oregon, they could well close this out 3-1.
Well, it's one of those maps, isn't it? You know, Oregon's your stock standard map. We say it in the same way as we say Clubhouse. Pro teams like this need to be able to win on Oregon, right? Simple as that. If you're not going to win on Oregon, if you're not going to win on Clubhouse, then you're not going to win 200. You know, in a best of 5, you are absolutely 100% expecting to play Oregon during that map, I would say, or at least 90% of the time. It's going to be Oregon or Clubhouse or both. So, yeah, I would expect MIBR to be coming out with a very strong game on there. They're not going to be easy for FaZe to beat, so the mental game will probably play into it a little bit more as to who has the edge. I wouldn't expect anybody to come out and necessarily play better Oregon, so to speak, if you look at their sort of average ability on there. Karaoke and T then will be our round number 8, and FaZe, they've got to put the brakes on here, Des. They can't allow MIBR to start racking up defensive wins. They've already taken office. If they can get themselves another one here and put them on map point at 6-2, it could be a real body blow to FaZe that might just knock the wind out of the sails.
Fun fact for you, Tim. I was looking at some stats just now.
I love a fun fact.
I'm sure you do. The South American region is the only region in Games Without Borders that has played every single map in the map pool. NA has only played 6, EU has played 7. So
very fun fact.
For diversity.
Very fun fact. Cameraman going to be coming in on the rappel, looking to get towards terrace maybe. He's probably just going to put the claymore down and dip himself away. He's not actually going to put the claymore down because he's got flashes, but he's not going to be interacting with terrace. He's going to be looking more towards Geisha. right now, FaZe sort of working a number of angles. Souls is going to be the one who's going to be pushing in towards Geisha now that that wall has been opened. They've got players underneath. Sort of just really trying to soften up the defense from all sides at the minute.
Yeah, the red pin come through. They must have the idea. Oh, they see him on the retreat out as well. Read up, picked up for free. Fool's actually almost falling by the wayside as well, down to about half HP. That would have been tragic, especially because you're then also losing those 3 canisters. For Reduct, of course, those Vulcan canisters are already out in the map, but you do lose a C4 that I believe would have been in back pocket. Yep, the only C4 on the team, gone.
Nid will come out, will not connect with anybody, may have been looking to clear out utility given where it was thrown to. Raps is going to find cameraman, and from losing the opening kill, MIBR now find themselves with a man advantage, and FaZe are on the back foot trying to attack, but oh, how does he escape from that?
Again?
Somehow gets away from the book. He's got more than 1 life, that much is for sure.
Call him a kitty cat at this point. That makes 3 that he's on to now. It's got a long way to go towards 9 and a lot of bullets that somehow is going to have to sponge through soft surfaces in order to not kill him off before we get to 9. We'll take it, Tim. Souls is inside a Geisha, worked his way forwards, popping out one of those Vulcan canisters on the north side of T, or Karaoke, sorry. And for the rest of them, they're all dug in. You can see for MIBR, they've kind of got this right side lean or this east side lean currently on the go. They've also circled around towards drums, so now they can challenge in towards Geisha itself. So for Souls, his backside is now cut off. He can't get back out of this room, I think, unless he gets himself challenged in from towards drum. For Leapot's getting 1 more down. For Souls and Astro, it's looking pretty dire. A 2 versus 4 on the cards, and MIBR, they can smell that match point rolling up, Tim.
Can't they just? This is looking much more like the MIBR that we saw playing over the last couple of days. Lukid able to pick up Souls. Now it's a 1v4. Astro's got it all to do. We know he's got the ability, but he can't find the kills. Raps with the headshot, and that is going to be a timeout called immediately by FaZe as they decide, once again, they're on that match point. They're facing the loss on Skyscraper. They need to have a discussion.
Oh, heaven knows they need it at this point, right? I mean, it's like you were saying in the last map as well. It feels a little too late to call it once you're down like 6-2, 6-3. You really want to be calling it when it's sat at 4-2, 5-3, 5-2, whatever. When you have time to kind of course correct and let the other team get away with something cheesy or a little bit hectic, absolutely. Whereas here they've left it for them all, left it all for themselves to do. 4 rounds back to back they need to take this game through to overtime. Not even to get near victory, but to get to overtime and then to have to do it all over again for 3 more rounds. It just feels like a very, very steep hill to climb for FaZe.
The thing is now, as well, there's 2 defensive rounds been played and 2 defensive rounds have been won by MIBR. And that last one particularly, as an example, didn't even really feel kind of close. You know, it was a 1v4 for Astro at the end and he couldn't get any kills. So FaZe are struggling on the attack so far. They've not really got too much going. And MIBR at 6-2, the blood's in the water, they can smell the victory. You know they're going to be coming in for it, wanting to shut it down because they need to respond. You know, 7-3 in the first map, they got beaten up a little bit on border. So they need to respond to FaZe. They need to come back and say, yep, you might have landed a punch, but here's one back of our own, and give themselves that lead again. So MIBR, yeah, they're going to be looking to just get this locked down, and like you say, maybe just a little bit late from FaZe to do anything about that. But I really don't know what they can change at the minute. I think they more need to rely on MIBR slipping up a little bit here rather than, you know, exactly what they can do to come in and win it, because the attacks just haven't been overwhelming so far.
They look a bit tardy, I think is the best way I can describe it, really. They haven't looked particularly sharp, right? Even back to the defenses, you know, Lukid walking in and mopping up 3 of them a couple of times when getting towards top black. Just doesn't really feel like they're all there. And again, knowing this is their map choice and they've gotten to that side, you know, the argument they would have wanted, because MIBR started on attack and chose to go there. FaZe going onto the attacking side on their map pick in the second half. We just haven't seen that sharpness that I think we saw back on border. But this is the way these series work out sometimes. Map to map, you can see completely different sides of teams and you really start to see the impact that certain maps have on a team's play style and achievements.
Here we go then, round number 9. Will it be our last? Will MIBR be able to lock this down in a complete defensive sweep of their 3 rounds? They've managed to win Office, they've managed to win Karaoke and Tea, and now they take us to Kitchen and Barbecue. What have they got cooking? That is the question. Cyber is going to be approaching straight away towards that restaurant window. We're getting the Claymores down, always conscious of the runouts. We've seen that from FaZe, not wanting to give up any easy kills to jump outs, and they're looking definitely to get themselves towards Karaoke and Tea. They want to get in there on the top floor into Geisha, make sure they've got that vertical control, but there are MIBR players up there that they're going to have to get through first.
Absolutely. Well, here we go. The El Clasico of an attack on this map, Tim. Starting off on this Shrine balcony side. Now, being wary of jump outs is one thing. They do have 3 sets of claymores in the back pocket, 3 of which have already been deployed down. And here I think they're just trying to find a way to get through onto the wall. I think one of those, in fact, the Selma did land, yeah, went really, really deep. I think onto the single wall inside of Geisha, just to help open up the angle in towards Geisha box, do the same from window in towards stairs, just to give the attackers some more angles to be aggressive into. You know, I just thought about this earlier on, actually. I've never really seen an attacker shoot out a smoke canister, despite it generally being stationary for about half a second before it goes off. Kind of weird.
I could count on one hand the amount of times. It's like, it's such
Very
a
rare.
difficult shot to make, very small target.
I mean, on land, maybe that's a little bit easier, but online,
Yeah.
I can understand why it's hard.
I mean, we saw a good effort there, but unsuccessful. Lukid manages to open things up with the kill onto cameraman. Redux does get taken down, though. Falls with a nitro. And look at that long angle. We're going to see Falls just getting dropped, but Lukid manages to get Cyber along the way. And again, they just can't get anything going, Des. It is looking good for MIBR, but they've got 3 down. They've got 3 down. This is a 1v1. It's Philippox versus Bullet. Almost certainly not going to be able to pick any of these up. And there's time here.
What? I mean, how?
He's got one up. He's got Falls up. He's got Falls up.
He got Falls back up while the other 2 were still alive as well. They just wasted a little bit of time for him here. They're down to about 60 seconds here. Bullet, you're all that stands between your team here and going, well, not quite going home, but going out of Skyscraper, catching the nearest helicopter off and taking us towards Oregon instead. With 2 members still to bring down as well, knowing they've got a C4 on side. They've got potentially the information of the bout cams. You can see 3 players currently sat, like, rifling their way through those cameras. The chances are they have a pretty good idea on where he's coming from, or will do very, very shortly. Down to that last 30, it's now or never.
That's it. There's no way Bullet gets into both of these challenges without getting spotted, I don't think, given that the cameras are just being used so consistently. Shots will come out, but he now comes off the diffuser and looks to make the challenge. Bullet was just baiting, looking for the kill. He knows there's somebody inside a kitchen. He finds one. Can he get 2? Surely not. They just need to play for time. 9 seconds left to go. Bullet's going to go for the plant.
Oh my God!
Oh, don't rip the nitro! He's going to switch to the shotgun. It's ringed around the roses, and somehow Philippox gets the kill with the shotgun. Oh, my heart could not take that, Philippox.
That moment of panic then, I was just like, no, what are you doing?
When he ripped the nitro, I was like, no!
Like, why is it in hand? He's 1 HP, don't do it. But, honestly, I was panicking myself for a second there, Tim. But, okay, we get it in the end. It was closer than it had to be in that last round. But yet again, another really dominant map. Border, one-sided towards FaZe. Skyscraper, very heavily one-sided towards MIBR. Where does Oregon go? Do we finally get a balanced map?
Who knows, Des? But right now, I think my money would be on MIBR. I said coming into it that I felt like they had the advantage. You know, they've looked so good over the last couple of days, and they've just shown us their border was for them, let's be honest, but they've just really turned that around.
I mean, coming into that last round, Lukid was 11-2, absolutely on fire, and you hope it carries going into Oregon. Let's go to a quick break. When we come back, our desk will break down Skyscraper for you ahead of Oregon. See you in a few.
Progress is a race that has no end. After every finish line, another challenge awaits. How can we continue to push innovation in a sport at the forefront of technology? This is how. Discover how Aramco and the Aston Martin Formula One team aim to meet Formula One's sustainable fuel targets. Aramco, powered by How.
We know you hate it when you have to wait to get back into the game, but the wait will end in seconds. In real life, some people don't have the option to restart. Millions of refugees and displaced people have their lives on hold, eager for a chance to move forward. There are 84 million people around the world who were forced to flee due to war, conflict, violence, persecution, and climate change. And we are here to serve them, working day and night to provide them with life-saving aid and support. And you can be part of it. You can help people forced to flee gain access to life-saving aid like shelter, food, water, medicine, and much more. Donate to UNHCR. Help refugees and displaced families rebuild their lives.
The divisions in the world are stark. Recent years have shown some of the largest natural disasters ever in history. And that really hits hardest the people who had the least to begin with. These people need help. It would be a real tragedy if all these advances in science, in health, and technology only benefit people in a position to pay for them. There should be no lesser standard if you happen to be poor. These problems can be overcome. Direct Relief is a humanitarian, nonprofit health organization. The focus has been on the least fortunate, most vulnerable people. On a good day, things are tough for a lot of people in this world and in this country. And what we can do is mobilize private resources for their benefit and make it available free of charge. We're the first nonprofit in the history of the United States to obtain accreditation just like a commercial distributor. And it's been expanded geographically to every country in the world and every state and territory of the United States. What's now Direct Relief officially was started in 1948 as a private effort of a war immigrant businessman named William Zimden. The basic guiding principles of a war immigrant businessman really influence what Direct Relief has done ever since. And they begin with just serving the people who need help. We have this great privilege of engaging with people who come in from very different backgrounds, but with the same purpose of trying to just do something good. It doesn't matter if you're typing or talking on the phone or working on the warehouse floor. They're all part of an effort that means something bigger, and that is the fuel that kind of keeps you going. It gives you some sense that there is a way to make meaningful progress, even for a little organization that started at a kitchen table, but that's what provides motivation in life. The notion that many people, just by virtue of where they're born, the color of their skin, the country they live in, they're going to get sicker, they're going to stay sicker longer, and they're going to die sooner. That's pretty good motivation. These issues are too big for any one organization to address. We really work hard to honor these guiding principles, invite people to participate, and we are sure thankful for the thousands of people across the country and world who have become part of Direct Relief by virtue of their participation.
Hello everybody and welcome back. We just saw a lot of action go down on Skyscraper, and unfortunately for FaZe, they lose out on their map pick. Starting off on the attacking side, and actually pretty substantial loss there, Jess.
Yeah, that was a bit of a thrashing. I was sort of hoping FaZe could bring the momentum, and then I think we saw pretty clearly that the map knowledge, no, I don't want to say necessarily map knowledge, but it definitely painted the picture that there was a little bit of problem in understanding how to manipulate the map there for FaZe. And conversely for MIBR, think about those few different attacking routes. I just think that overall FaZe didn't understand what MIBR was doing. And if they did, they have very, very poor counter and adaptation skills in order to deal with that. So that map, obviously being FaZe's pick, is pretty disappointing, although we can say that goes with the trend of both of these teams winning each other's map picks so far. So both of the maps, we hadn't seen them from the teams thus far. Take those sort of unknown quantities away, get into a more known quantity, and that's when maybe we'll have something a bit more to refer back to. But for now, it's just an MIBR sort of catching their footing and using that map knowledge to their advantage.
Yeah, there was one big difference, I thought, between these two teams when they played their defensive halves, and that was their primary bomb site that they wanted to go to. For MIBR, they ran Exhibition first. They only got to play each bomb site once because they went flawless on their defensive half, but that seemed to be the one they wanted to play the most. And then inside of FaZe Clan, they really wanted to make Tea Room and Karaoke work. And the more I watch of this map, obviously Skyscraper, new into the pool this stage, the more I feel like this bomb site is just not very good, especially in comparison to what MIBR were running as their primary. The first two times that we saw MIBR attacking it, they ran the Monty strat where you walk in through the door into Black Stairs, you get into Karaoke through the corner, rotate, and then you manage to get the kit down. And as long as you can control that bottom floor, as long as you can avoid any C4s, and as long as you can wake up 3 smokes, which you can start baiting at the beginning of the round because it's right there with the outside balcony door, it's a pretty easy take to pull off. And there was never really a response from FaZe Clan. On their third attempt, they finally reinforced both of the walls, and that did force MIBR to full clear from the other side of the map. They didn't run the Monty strat, but even then they were able to get a lot of those kills over on the roaming side. They did a great job catching the roamers when they were trying to retreat back to the site really late in the round. It was a closer round for sure, but it's still one where MIBR came out on top. So that kind of goes back to what you were saying, Jess, about FaZe Clan just maybe not having the best understanding of this map and what bomb sites really are going to work.
Yeah, back to the drawing board they go, and we're going to need to move on here because MIBR stand on the cusp of victory. They might be joining our EU champions in just a map, but that map is Oregon. That was MIBR's pick in this one. FaZe Clan are starting on the defensive side. Jess, our thoughts going into it?
I mean, it's hard to really give context as to what's going to happen because everything's flipped the script for me so far, and all of my predictions for how it should go haven't gone that way. And I look back at the Brazilian stats, and that map should be defensive sided. Then we saw things going awry. So I think overall, we can't really refer to what the regular season is really showing us. But what I can say about Oregon so far, for some of these teams at least that have played it, is that I don't necessarily think that an 8-6 win over Boo Boo, okay, maybe I'm being hypercritical here of FaZe, but an 8-6 win over Boo Boo is not very convincing for me. And of course, I don't have MIBR, at least in this tournament. So if a win over Boo Boo is enough to convince you guys out there, well then FaZe will take it. But I mean, for me, I got to see what MIBR has.
Yeah, I feel like this is a pretty strong map from MIBR. Looking back even to SI, they were very dominant here on Oregon, and I'm completely agreeing with you, Jess. That win over Boo Boo was not convincing enough for my liking. I think this is it. I think MIBR take it here on Oregon.
Oof.
Fair enough.
All right, you know what? I'm excited to see it. Let's see if FaZe can actually fight back on this, or will MIBR take it all 3-1 and be the champions of LATAM here at Gamers Without Borders. We're going to have to tell thank you so much, Jesse, and Jess will toss it back to our casters. It's Ace and Des. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Milos. Tim, back once again for map number 4, Oregon. Then Kafe awaits us. But the real big question on everyone's lips, Tim, are we going to be seeing that map 5, or does it end here?
I'm not convinced we will at this point in time, I'll be honest. I think MIBR have shown us much more of what we can expect to come there in map number 2 of the day. I suppose 3 overall, depending how you want to look at it. The current score is 2-1, so we'll call it 3. MIBR just looking so dominant on Skyscraper, even more so than FaZe did on Border. And I just think they're going to keep that momentum, keep that pace. I feel like they've basically just settled in. They just needed that map to warm up, to wake up, to get the foundation. And I think this will be closer. We've had a 7-3, a 7-2. I don't think we're going to see this over in 9 or 10 rounds again. I think we'll maybe go to 11 or 12. But my money, I would hedge my bets onto MIBR.
I'm really sad, Tim.
Why are you sad, Des?
I just realised I missed a golden opportunity at a dad joke, something we're a little renowned for. The joke was going to be, are we going to see map 5?
Oh, beautiful. You see, you haven't missed your opportunity, Des. You've rescued it. You've pulled it in from the brink.
I've at least referenced it. You know, it's better late than never, as they go to say, so I'm glad that one got brought out in the last moments. But we are into game and into our bans. Ying coming out as a ban. We've seen that throughout this series, and not at all surprised to see it on Oregon. Very effective at E-Box executes, or pushing in from the laundry side as well. We've seen both. Finka also being taken away. Yeah, absolutely. Very good point. Or if you're getting really creative, looking back to old school Team Secret, using it to push in through Trophy and then planting inside a smoke on concrete. Many options, very versatile operator for this map. No surprise seeing it taken away. The Finka, we don't need to speak much about her. We know just how strong she is. The Valkyrie, also expected. There were arguably the wild card here because it does leave Mirror in play, but it does also mean that grenades may be more effective with less anti-nade utility available on the map.
FaZe starting on the defense here. We would expect to see 4 rounds out of them, to be honest. Laundry and Dorms, they need to be locking down. So this could be a really big half for MIBR in that sense. If they can come out here and have a strong attack to begin with, get 3, maybe even 4 rounds, it starts putting a lot of weight on their potential claim towards being tournament champions here, because they are then leading into that defensive phase, and it's not going to be easy for FaZe to overturn that at that point. So we are in round number 1. It's going to be down to the basement. It is going to be a laundry defense. The question, as always, will be how many are FaZe going to play off site? Are they going to turtle up for the entire thing? Are they going to hold on to meeting and try to protect that hatch? Or will they go all the way up to top floor and try to burn a lot of MIBR's time? We'll see how the setup goes. But interestingly, I think this, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the first time we're going to see Azami on Oregon. She's been getting banned out consistently, at least in the games I've cast. She's been getting banned out consistently on this map, which tells me that there's some concern about playing against her. She's been brought straight away in round number 1.
Where I've really enjoyed seeing Azami so far has been Kafe piano holds. You know, that kind of like really interesting, and I think it still needs some work, but the really interesting hold where you use all your barriers to really like hunky yourself down where the evil eye goes, right next to the kind of big clock or the like grandfather clock or whatever it's called in the corner of the room. We've seen some cool use of that, and I want to see more of that developed too. And this map, I think, is one where you can see some really cool use cases for Azami as well. Time will tell. One thing I do want to touch on is some really interesting back and forth between the two teams though, right? Very smartly, with the Wamai band away, MIBR go, oh, we can run the Capital here. We can use the firebolts to displace those really hard to force away defenders. Looking at the ones who sit, for example, in highway when you're trying to attack in the downstairs. They also got the smokes to help out with that. So what are FaZe doing on the other side? Bringing along a Warden. And you look at Warden and think, well, Warden's only really useful when you've got like flashes, right, with Ying. So why would you still play Warden? Well, in this case, he brings the shield, but it's also the fact, of course, that he can see through smoke. So Fools here does have a small soft counter coming in. It requires right time, right place to be able to be stationary, for example, but it does at least give FaZe some response back to what is going to be a very heavily engineered attack coming out of MIBR.
MIBR have spent a minute and a half there going through a very thorough clearance of this map, and we can see that FaZe are completely forced back onto site. All 5 of them are down there, but that's not bad from them. They've wasted half of the round without needing to be present out in the map. So we've got the meeting hatch open. That is access into electrical gain. That can help them clear pillar and push on in from there. Rotero drone just going to clear out the barbed wire and another utility scattered around that door, aside from the laser gate. Of course, that will sustain. Lukid looking to push down into Freezer, and this is looking like a very typical LATAM multi-side.
I like this. So this keeper barrier looks a little bit strange, but the main reason here, it means they can't bounce grenades easily over the top, where normally that would rain super deep, and that's why Luke has had to now burn it out with the Gon 6 and then whip out the nades. So a very small thing, but it just consumes even more utility on the other side. That's all of them now deployed though, mind you, so now it's all guns up, it's nades raining through, and it's FaZe so far taking control.
Bullet getting a double there to add to cameraman's opener. Lukin manages to get something going from Freezer, but shut down from behind the deployable shield by Astro. 4v1 as FaZe come out super strong in round 1. We would expect them to win down in the basement, but they have done it in a great fashion so far. Falls, he's got to get something going. 15 seconds and 4 kills to find. I think he's just going to hold his angle because the team may well be having a chat, but no, as I say that, he's going to push forward. He's going to be spotted out on the camera. The challenge comes in from Highway and Astro at the same time. He gets one, but not the other, and FaZe, they take the first round.
Yeah, not even close there, really. I think once Bullet picked up that mid-round 2K, all the win was taken out of the sails of MIBR, and they were left scrapping for whatever kills they could find from Lukid and from Falls. You know, a great way to be able to shut down this well-engineered attack is to just kill them, Tim. Just shoot them in the head. Don't even let them use their utility. Just click on the heads, right? Lol, just do it. It's not hard. As they've just shown us. Why can't everyone do that? Great first round for FaZe, though. MIBR denied every opportunity to pull off the setup they were looking for. Now FaZe are going to move up to the second floor, and we'll see what MIBR have got in mind. Knowing how this series has gone so far, I would not be at all surprised to see a focus on vertical nades coming into it.
No, I think it's going to be the order of the day. Try and get in there, maybe get a couple of kills without too much risk. I would imagine we're going to see FaZe play underneath, in and around kitchen and security. It's become quite a staple of playing on this side, just preventing that push in through the double window. But with Ying off the board, it may well be something that we don't see too much of a focus on from the attackers. MIBR, they need to wake up quickly here because FaZe have just run rampant in round number 1, and that's the last thing that MIBR want to happen here. They're 2-1 up, they've got their advantage back, they are effectively winning in what became a best of 3, and they only need this map to get the whole thing locked up. They don't want to get themselves too far behind. The first couple of rounds are kind of fine. Laundry, dorms, no major problem, but they need to be in a position where they're competitive come that tertiary side.
Absolutely. Okie dokie. Armory going to be a starting focus, at least for Raps on his pushing. Also got some focus coming in here in towards Master, as you come to expect. So for 3 members of MIBR, it's very much a standard start here. Get control of that east side and look to push in through Trophy. So the real question then comes on what are the other two doing? So far, we've got Luca playing around by double window on the Nook, and I think I'm missing out on Redux. I'm not 100% sure where he's set up, but I wouldn't be surprised. In fact, he's joined here with them, sat on those Flores drones, as we all know too well. Very good at chewing through shields. The only real nemesis that he's going to face off against here are those mute jammers. That will impede a lot of what's going on. And admittedly, there are no shields to go through, which means the free seasons coming in for those Banshees, for the Goyo canisters, for example, and potentially even those keeper barriers coming out of Cyber.
You get the feeling that Felipox knows where Astro is at the minute. He's just waiting for the push to come through, but I don't know how much he's got this angle covered because he's trying to clear utility at the same time. Damage is done. E1D scan to help him escape there, but Astro's got himself behind the brick wall and he's actually going to come out from the other side. He's not going to have an opportunity to challenge onto the Lion again. He's been able to scurry his way out a front door, get into garage. This could be a good play from Felipox. It just depends how aggressive Astro gets here. If he stays and holds his ground, it might be enough to keep him alive. Lukid, however, gets that first kill. Felipox gets his man. Astro overextends, and the Lion is there on an alternative angle to find him, and that's now 5 versus 3.
Soul's getting tickled by that pit nade that just came over from Trophy as well, so he knows now that the heat is starting to build around Trophy, and the boys want in to get the prize, the round win. Bullet dug in way deep here, and Luke is the one providing a little bit of threat, but it's Felipox to find the kill, and suddenly it looks all good for MIBR, a 5 versus 2. You ask that question of surely they can't mess this one up, but we've seen easier rounds be thrown away. 2 kills for Bullet before the nade connects onto Souls, and finally Bullet is stopped in his tracks.
Much better round from MIBR there. FaZe not able to pick them apart like they did in Laundry, and that is a good site for MIBR to be winning. That secondary choice site, it may well be that FaZe choose to go there again, but given how comprehensive that win was, maybe not, and that is exactly what we see. They're going to switch it up. They're going to be heading to meeting instead, go into that third choice site, and this is the opportunity for MIBR now. This is the opening that they were wanting. Really, the defenders are looking for a 4-2 on Oregon, because you want to lock down Laundry, you want to lock down Dorms. If MIBR can get this round now on the tertiary side, one that they might be expected to win as the attackers, that puts them on their 2 that they were expected to get. So anything they get out of the second set of 3 rounds on the defense, they are just picking up bonus points then if they manage to win any more. So it takes the pressure off. MIBR need a strong round.
They do. And guess what they've got in terms of strength here, Tim? They've got the Ossa coming in. We are so used to seeing this by now. It's almost like a broken record. Every time we come to this site, Ossa coming in, big tower take, bit of focus around attic, making sure you're not getting flanked from below. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Yet so many times we have seen teams get away with really successful flanks by popping up in the mid-round, by coming up to the basement, and teams forget the very crucial steps of having flank drones set up in blue, for example, just watching across the bottom of the big tower stairs. So that's one thing I really want to see MIBR focusing on, is those flank drones. The Nomad's all well and good as well, but it doesn't cost you much to have a drone or two just sat watching these critical flank locations, especially when you don't really need them for the site, given it's open wall, plant and win.
We're going to have to keep an eye on Astro here. He's got the 2 impact nades. There are nitros on hand as well, but they're just a little bit more difficult to use to be taking Ossa shields down, whereas the impacts are a little bit more easily thrown. They just detonate immediately. They can't be shot out, for example. You know, there's just a lot of benefits when you're trying to just take a shield out. So the impact nades of Astro are going to be particularly important. Keep an eye. He's kept them both in pocket for a reason, not use them for any rotations, won't use them for any rotations, and he's going to be hopeful to be able to take down the Ossa shield. Now, Philippot's getting downstairs, thinking about getting some of those air jabs out, doesn't want to be getting pushed from rear stage stairs, which is definitely fair. We've seen plenty of attempts at that. Reduct getting in on the Monty, and they are just shaping themselves up here, ready to go.
Easy as 1, 2, and 3. So, yep, not quite playing in behind the Ossa, but it's more than enough when you have a shield in general. The beauty of it really being, I suppose, that the Monty is mobile here. You can afford to step in, step out. So really all eyes turn towards Souls here and what damage he can be doing with that smoke to deny things away. You've got the C4 in the back pocket of the Mew and the Mozzie, plus a couple of impacts coming in from Astro. But I imagine they were there just in case there was an Ossa on side. Now there isn't. Just chuck him willy-nilly at this Monty because it will stagger him. And if someone's watching, they can shoot his feet as he gets knocked about by those impacts.
They can, yeah, obviously, yeah, absolutely. Missing the attacker repick of the Ossa being moved away from Monty coming on. Personally, you'll allow me that slip, given that we're on map 7, I think, of the night now, 6 or 7. But as you say, Reduct is going to be just as valuable in there. First kill comes in, and that's going to be Philippox taken down. The air jab's already deployed, so the utility not lost at least, but manpower is not ideal. Reduct's going to push in towards kitchen here. This could be interesting. There's a man on his left-hand side. There is the use. Astro is going to go down, but Toxic Babe canister comes out and the diffuser's dropped in the middle of the site. 4 versus 3, 40 seconds left to go.
Yeah, Reduct needs a bit of backup here as well. He can call out where these 2 members are, and it started out so well, but they've got to find a way of being able to get him shot out here as well. Diffuser now in hand as well. Surely you don't go for a 1 versus 1 against a shotgun, son. Don't be silly. And now there's an aid in hand as well from Lukin to come flying over the top. It's going to tickle, I think, on towards Raps there. A bit of friendly fire, but not enough to do too much. Now Monty's going in for the plant. All you got to do is hold the angle, boys. But what a swing out from Souls. Lukin finding one back in response onto Cyber. Diffuser down, and surely shields up would have been the call, but it absolutely is not. Lukin getting shut out of this one. That second C4 connecting. FaZe going to find themselves round number 3.
No way that you get away with that one, I'm afraid, MIBR. That was a... I won't even call it a Hail Mary. It was way beyond a Hail Mary play. 2 versus 3. You're halfway through the diffuser. You really don't have much of an option other than to think, you know what, we're just going to have to stick this and see what happens. And you had one on either side of you. It was never going to end well. FaZe able to defend well there. And that was a round that they very much needed. Third choice site getting locked down, getting the job done. And I look towards MIBR and I wonder whether they wish that they had stuck with that Ossa.
It was a little bit scraps together, wasn't it, right? Like, force your way down a funnel that is green, go for a plant at the back of kitchen, pray that you don't get shot at range through this massive open hole facing all the way through to Beaton. It was definitely uncommon. We don't normally see attacks like that at all. Normally you'll start out inside small tower, work your way across if you want the kitchen play. Otherwise, if you're trying to get in through meeting wall, then you'll go through that and you'll plant on stage. It's nice and simple. But a little bit scrappy. MIBR won't be too pleased with that one, I think, and they'll be looking to course correct here as we head into round 4. Back downstairs in the basement once again, and this time round we've got FaZe bringing along that mirror that we mentioned, managed to escape the ban phase, now finally going to get put to good use.
Okay, we've got the list gates on the bunker side. We've got Cyber on the smoke. He's likely going to play somewhere around elbow, I would expect. Yeah, he's got the shield in place there. That's already been positioned. So we're going to have pretty much a standard defense coming in from FaZe. Nothing extra special. Souls is getting aggressive up at the top of rear stage stairs on the Aruni, though. He's just looking to see if he can get anybody coming in. And Cameraman on the mirror all the way up on the top floor after I've said there's nothing special. I'm lying. The man's all the way up there. I don't know if he's got the Black Mirrors positioned up there as well. I don't know how much utility's been expended on this top floor, but it's certainly going to be a job for MIBR to clear it out.
Almost finding him there as well. A few shots to the shoulder, and all going to force him to drop away as a nade follows him through, but now he's back down and safe once again. I don't think he's aware that he was being pressed in from dining at the same time. It was Luke who's worked his way forwards. These two just narrowly avoiding each other like ships in the night, but will they collide like the Titanic? Heaven knows in this case.
Cameraman cleared out in quick fashion then. That is well played from MIBR, just basically neutralising that utility that's been played there. And we'll see how it goes by the end of the round. FaZe Clan defended very well on site last time, so this is not a criticism, but we may be asking the question towards the end, would those mirrors have been more worthwhile down in sight? They have been circumvented pretty much on the top floor and inside of kitchen, so you've got to look at it and see what happens come at the end of things, because of course otherwise, you know, you could have brought somebody else instead of the mirror. You could have brought additional utility that would have been used on site, but right now MIBR just slowing down a little bit. 1 minute 25 left to go. They've got the electrical hatch open, which is certainly a point in their credit. They've not got themselves established in laundry, freezer or rear stage or a bunker yet, so needing to get themselves down onto that basement level pretty sharpish.
I think it was quite nice from MIBR, really, where their focus wasn't the site at all for the first 60 to 75 seconds of the round. It was trying to pinch Cameraman. And to his full credit, he managed to get away. You were being pinched in by the Nook. You had nades chasing you on the top floor. You were being taken on gunfights from Trophy, for example. There were 3 different players trying to kill you. You managed to evade every single one, keep a C4, and get back to site. And for a second there, I really thought Raps was going to lose his decoy to that Rotero, but no, does get it through and gets the laser gate.
Great opener from Souls then. That is going to be a big start for FaZe once again. We managed, of course, in round 1 to hold this site down. They're going to be looking to get themselves onto 3-1. Lukid being challenged. Thinks about pulling the pin on the nade, but he's just going to edge back for a second before going for it again. He's looking for the bouncer, but the ADS takes it out. There's no clearance for him. Shots are missed by Redux as he comes in. Cyber managing to get the kill, but falls with a trade. Lukid onto Souls, and somehow MIBR have got themselves down here and established. But look at the health. There's no time, there's no health, there's no nothing for MIBR here. This is going to be a huge play if they're able to pull this off.
Oh my.
FaZe, they're just going to sit nice and deep, but...
Oh, the fireball!
No! No way! Surely this doesn't happen. He's going to go in. The Capito's getting the plant down. Bullet just needs to stop it. He gets 1. Can he get 2? No, the plant is going to be secured. The other man is down. This is effectively a 1v1, and right now falls. He's super low health. So is Bullet. Oh my word, this is coming down to a breath from either man. Falls just needs to pick his position carefully.
He's being pinged out is the problem here as well, that he knows exactly where he is, so he can keep this dance going all day long. They are both literally a bullet away from death, the pair of them. Bullet can move down highway here and potentially get him on the backside. Sure, that C4 might mask a little bit of sound, but he's taking the shots, and he finds it through the soft wall. That's what you're looking for. Bullet's found his man. Check in there, buddy. He's on the ground. Take your little victory lap, a 3K in the round, and a defuse. FaZe will move up to 3-1.
Whew, what a finish to the round there. Falls able to get the diffuser down 1v1 and unable to hold on to it as Astro manages to get the job done. I mean, we're not going to see many rounds come closer than that, but FaZe, they'll be quite happy with that. Puts them on a 3-1 lead now, but here comes a key site. They need to get Dorms held down. They didn't manage it last time around. If they can get it locked in this time, then they are sitting pretty. They've guaranteed themselves the 4-2 half that they wanted at least. But if MIBR can get the win on this site again, they have another chance at a tertiary site and they could lock it up 3-3 at the half, and that is why this is an important round.
Whew. Well, that could be one of those rounds, Tim, again, that we look back at when Bullet's on 8 kills after 4 rounds, that you just say, yep, that was one of those difference-making rounds, and it could well be what leads to a massively different outcome and careers us through to Kafe in the last game of this series. It'd be great to get all the way to 5 to see who walks away the overall winner out of these two teams after a few excellent days of play. I know everyone's leaning towards MIBR, Tim, but we love a good underdog.
Oh, you know we do. We love to see teams on a comeback. We love to see that Cinderella story. And right now, FaZe, they are on the comeback trail. MIBR are ahead overall in map score 2-1. They have the 1 map advantage for coming through the upper bracket, of course. And then it is 1 apiece in maps on the day so far. Border going to FaZe, Skyscraper going to MIBR. 7-3, 7-2 in that order. This time, we found ourselves on Oregon. FaZe Clan have got themselves a 3-1 lead, but they need to keep the foot foot on the gas here. Don't let MIBR back into it. MIBR have played much better when they've been able to dictate the pace themselves, and I feel like FaZe are the ones that are controlling things at the minute. If they plays exactly like that for Leapox, he's going to be downed, and I don't know how much of a challenge can be made to allow him to be picked up. I think this should be fairly safe here. FaZe aren't going to push this too hard.
You shouldn't know now, just by getting into a position where you can't be exposed to that window so easily. And the problem is, of course, there can be a lot of angles. There's a potential run out there for a second. I thought was coming through from the front door, but no. I think it was just a man getting a little bit cheeky off towards the side. Two of them here looking to be quite aggressive out towards small tower and just keep MIBR guessing.
FaZe are in small tower. You can see this man just hard pressed up against the wall inside, and if they try to push in there, they're going to die. Cyber, he's just waiting for a run out. He's just waiting for an opportunity here. But MIBR are putting immediate pressure in towards this double window. I don't know if they've seen something. I tell you what, they haven't seen Cameraman, who pops out and gets one. Bullet manages to get Raps as well. Redux going to be down, and that is round over just as quick as that, and it will be flawless for FaZe.
They make it look easy, Tim, as well. Like, they were bullying them out a shower window, out a double window. They were giving them not even an inch of Oregon, not even letting them inside the building. Super aggressive from FaZe and really bullying MIBR. We've had two maps so far that have been very one-sided. This one is starting to look the same. I said it back on Sky. I was proven to be wrong. This could be the kind of map that swings though when we get into that second half. MIBR going on the defense generally makes things a little bit easier. I just worry about the scale of momentum between these two teams because we've seen both of them now run away with the map no matter what side of the map they're on. They just run away with it purely on a momentum basis.
Well, that's it. Everything has been super quick so far. 7-3, 7-2. We're now 4-1 to FaZe. And if they get a 5-1 half, you know, do you really put it past them to come in and win another map, 7-2? You know, this whole best of 5 could just turn into these two absolutely wailing on each other, which is what it looks like right now. Final defense coming up for FaZe, and instead of going to meeting, this time they are going to be looking towards dining. So they're going to use all 4 sites as part of their defensive half. And right now, I would not put it past them to get this one done and to go into the attacking half 5-1. And at that point, all they need to do is win the 2 offsides.
Absolutely. It's one of those that I'm looking at and starting to feel nervous if you're an MIBR fan or just MIBR in general. Once again, this mirror coming out. And we've seen Rook, sorry, a couple of times today. We've seen Rook as well, actually. Sorry, Rook and Doc. God. The pair of them are basically a combo in my hair after Snurrelay for Caster for the Nordics wants to turn them both together. Duck. And I was like, okay, fantastic. They're now coming out as a pairing, I guess, in my mind. We've seen them both at certain points today, not normally operators that we associate with pro play, but I know that at least in ranked play, I know it's not at all comparable to what we have at the pro level. Rook does do a lot to kind of balance things out. That extra HP that it adds really making things quite difficult for the attackers. You know, attackers currently running in with things like Finker, being juiced up, faster ADS time, really stinned up to the high heavens. That extra HP for the defenders can actually work a little bit of magic in those gunfights.
Absolutely can. Lukid on the top floor sweep. This is quick for MIBR. Inside of a minute and they've got themselves into the top floor. They want control over Kid Storms so that they can get the vertical angles down into kitchen. It would actually open up a plant spot for them depending whether they choose to play it into dining or kitchen. If they ignore dining and just go straight into kitchen, then it could be everything that they need. They've got the air jab that's leading into pit, so nobody's going to be able to flank from attic side. Somebody is trying. They're having a definite think about it. The drone goes out, so that's probably going to prevent that push from coming across, and Foles is going to go into support potentially through the soft wall there and make sure that that flank doesn't happen. But Redux still looking to get into the top of small tower. He's got an Azami Kiba barricade in his way at the minute, and MIBR not fully established inside of the dining side of the map, but definitely comfortable with the vertical control.
Absolutely. It's a starting point, but it's about the clock though, right? It's already starting to run down here and there's still a little bit of work to do just to make sure they really have forced out these members of FaZe who so far look relatively unbothered, just sat on site, holding angles, waiting for things to kick off. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if you see someone coming up on the flank at some point too. Redux inside a small tower looking to work his way down towards the side here. May be hoping to catch someone off guard here as well. Doesn't feel like he's been spotted out just yet. Whereas the rest of them, up inside of kids, they know that's exactly where a lot of pressure is going on.
That angle has been held for the last minute and a half, waiting for that peak to come out from pit. Doesn't find its man, but does let them know that pressure is there. Redux, however, finds souls, but Cyber able to trade that straight out. FaZe looking good at the minute. 4v4 and full control over site. Still no position yet. I don't believe Oh no, they've managed to get themselves into kitchen. There's potential to get this diffuser down, but Astro, he finds Raps. Bullets is pushing this attic. Now then, he's not going to be able to drop down into pit. He knows that. Philippox takes some damage. Foles goes to get the diffuser down, but that is an essential kill from Astro, preventing him doing so. 7 seconds left to go. Lukid's just going to have to grab it and try and dump it on the ground. He will be able to now, surely. Lukid going for the plant. Philippox low health. Astro once again! He stopped them putting it down twice!
And gets a 3K, kills the last man, one of the last two left alive, and the last one simply can't catch him with the time left on the clock. It's another big round. Look back at Bullet's clutch, look at Astro's clutch. This could be a 3-3 half that we're just departing at this point, Tim, but through Nook or through Cranny, they've managed to really get it over the finish line and finish that half 5-1. What a half for FaZe.
You just wonder now whether MIBR are going to be able to bring this back or not. They've got to be pretty broken at the minute. It's 5-1, no tactical timeout. Again, it just feels like another LATAM team waiting for that round 6 to hit before they go for that tactical timeout. And every time it's just seemed a little bit too late. It hasn't done anything for either of the teams so far when they have done that. So needing to bring those in possibly a little bit sooner. This time, MIBR are going to go down onto the basement. And it's fair enough not taking a tactical timeout at this point when you're switching sides. But, you know, lose any more, you got to do it. Looking at this now, down into Laundry, and they are on the defense rather than the attack this time. MIBR hoping that they can just get a little bit of different energy coming out here. They've got the Mozzie, they've got the mirror, so it's going to be an interesting little setup down on site.
Absolutely. I'm nervous from MIBR again because now that you've had those two big clutch rounds, the momentum and the mental gain that kick in because of that, you're going to start feeling it, absolutely no doubt. But focusing on the setup itself, it is feeling very SSG-esque Rome that we see on Clubhouse normally because you've seen that mute in the Mozzie, their whole focus really being to waste time for the attackers, meaning they can't find out exactly where these defenders are on the top floor. You have to commit a lot of utility and resource in terms of players into actually getting control of that top floor, and a lot of it is at great risk because you're pushing in through single doorways, normally covered by a mute jammer, so you just don't really have all that much info. I think you've also just seen there for a second, it was Souls running around on the drone on the downstairs, trying to guide his team into the building. For FaZe, they could just go direct towards site and look to cut off the retreat back by getting down air jabs, for example, on these hatches that would help get the defenders back towards site.
Certainly could do. Doesn't say if they've recognised that. They're certainly not taking that choice at the moment. There's a lot of care going on from FaZe here to make sure that everything is droned, everything is cleared, and that the defenders are forced away. But there are still a couple on that mid floor. One for certain that I can see. Astro, he's going to dump a nade onto the stairs, look to clear out some utility. He could take pillars if he goes quickly here. There's a line of sight up onto the stairs, but if he takes his shots as he goes and has a bit of cover in fire, he might just be able to get away with it. And we know how important that position is on the map. Cameraman gonna get found out by Lukid though. They haven't dealt with the Jaeger, and that was the man that we picked up on the mid floor. They have to be doing better at clearing those roamers.
Just a large freebie there really as well, not even aware that Lukid was hanging around inside a split, and they may well pay the price of that as well. Always ironic when it's the flank watch that gets caught out by someone not quite on the flank, but on someone really catching you from an unsuspecting position. You can hear those air jabs that are around as well. In comes the drops now. Philippox may well try and follow them. He'll have to be respectful of the fact that we do have those air jabs down. There's a massive fight here around construction as well. It's a 2-for-1 in favor of FaZe overall to balance things out, and Souls is inside of sight. Does he know about the man tucked in hard left here as well? Because the guy pushed for him, but gets shot from the bottom of highway instead. In fact, it's inside of Freezer. Unfortunate timing, but FaZe, can they really keep this one going, Tim? 3 members still left for MIBR. One more coming back. Bullet, the hero of the hour, the hero of Oregon, is still holding tight.
I'm not sure what Souls really looking to do in the middle of sight there. He didn't have the support and he was just playing right into them. Nade goes out. Is it going to catch its man? No, forces him into highway. 33 seconds left to go. Another nade goes out and that leaves Bullet unable to protect himself as Philippox takes the peak from highway, finds his man, and FaZe just getting a little bit, it seemed carried away, maybe run out of ideas. I don't know. Souls just drops into sight and thinks, right, I'll have a little walk, I'll see what's going on. But he's completely surrounded, you know, he's in a complete crossfire. It's never going to end well.
This kill, if we see it, I'm not going to see it. The one where Philippox gets shot when he's down, well, I think the one player had like crept in towards Cubby, and Philippox was down on Southside site in Laundry, and Philippox gets shot at. He gets put down to like 5 HP. I'm like, he's dead to rights. Somehow, Philippox flicks and kills the player in Cubby, stays alive with 5 HP, then goes up highway and gets the last kill onto Bullet. that should just not have been a thing. That should have been a FaZe round through and through. But by some measure, Philippox did not die in that 1 versus 1. I forget the FaZe player it was that was in that kind of 1 versus 1 against him. But my God, are they going to be ruining not connecting that kill shot?
Yeah, they certainly will. We're going to be heading to what would normally be a third choice site here. It is a little bit more popular amongst the LATAM teams. We're going to see Meeting and Kitchen. Quite often they'll try to be aggressive, play a player right up against that rear stage or just off where the sandbags are on the corner near the bomb chassis and just try to prevent the plant going down on the stage by literally brute force, nitro coming over the top, something like that. And then they'll have one deeper roundabout split looking to peek out and just keep the pressure off the player that's getting aggressive up at the front. Not seen it for a little while since Ossa came back in, but without her in the attack, it may well be something we see the defenders do.
Quite possibly. Again, curious to see how the Azami's made use of here as well. Philippox with 3 of those keeper barriers in back pocket. 1 now being deployed out and rolled out onto the map. Imagine the other 2 will follow in the not too distant future as well. Just to kind of add this labyrinth to the attack for FaZe that they'll have to try and work their way through. And I think that's what I like about Azami overall, is that she adds the ability to create these kind of mini games for the attackers, right? It makes defenses very dynamic. And I think that's where a lot of players have had frustration with her, is that you can plan all you like for obviously the things that are built into the map, like the walls, for example, or half walls or walls or whatever. You can't really plan for keeper barriers and the potentially limitless places they can be put, which can completely transform an attack or add a new angle for the defenders that you're then forced to burn through utility to get good use of.
Over a minute into the round then, and FaZe just struggling to get themselves established inside a site. It's inside of the map again. I'm just a little bit concerned after this first round and a half. I know we've not seen too much of FaZe on the attack yet, and they were so good on the defense, but like I said, they just sort of seemed to run out of ideas on that attack, and it all came down to, you know, let's just push into site. Here, we're nearly 2 minutes in. They haven't got themselves established inside of the map yet, haven't really started that top floor clearance that they wanted to do, and there's still a man playing at rear stage stairs. There's just a lot going on at the minute that FaZe don't feel in control of on the attack.
No, it appears not, absolutely. So let's see how things step forward from here, because as you say, that time is starting to run down. Here's again that sort of Azami that I'm on about. They've opened everything up here entirely, and sure, you can see a few toesies maybe, but they might have the chance to dance away from that one. Interesting use from Philippox. Haven't really used too many used on doorways yet. Cyber walking in and finding the entry.
That's the start that FaZe needed, and they need to start pushing in behind it, but Raps is able to get one traded out immediately. Luka gets bullet, leaves us now in a 3v3. FaZe looking to pressure onto site again, but I don't want to see a situation where they are just dropping into site and trying to find kills. We want a more structured approach. Get into a position to execute. Get into a position to force those defenders out of positions. Souls is fighting from the rear stage door. He's not going to find his man, and Philippox will continue going, but Astro is going to shut down Falls in a big kill. Philippox with the trade though. Souls directly trading back, and this is back and forward. FaZe just fighting hard to get themselves onto map point here. Lukid challenging on the rear stage, shut down by Cameraman as he kills Souls, and somehow FaZe have done it. I'm not sure how they won that one, but they just kept the kills coming, kept the trades going, and that's all you can do, I guess, to keep yourself on top. FaZe, they put themselves on map point.
No one expects Frogman, Cameraman just dropping in there from the skylight at the pod skylight, the hatch at the perfect time. The swing being time with it. Really good little closing play coming out from FaZe. Sure, a little bit scrappy of a round. Just watch the Frogman. You ready? Swing comes through and bam, Frogman. I just love it. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
He had to do something. I mean, you know, otherwise maybe lose that situation. Souls loses the fight, and if the opportunity's not there for the immediate trade, it could be a problem.
Absolutely. Well, Tim, it feels like FaZe are going to have that dominant streak that we saw on the map a couple of maps ago now, and take us all the way through to Kafe. All 5, well, technically all 5 maps, because it would be 0.5 of the maps that we've got. It's of course the best of 4, because you have the 1 map advantage coming in from the upper bracket, which MIBR held on to. Again, anyone's guess which way it could possibly go when we get towards Kafe, given how back and forth this series has been.
Well, there's absolutely no clear winner at the minute, is there? You know, FaZe come out and win 7-3, MIBR win 7-2, FaZe are now leading 6-2. It's just, you know, anything you can do, I can do better at this point. Just trying to, you know, fight back and forward, and it's like all going to come down. I mean, we know it's going to be overtime on Kafe, don't we? That's surely how this ends. After they've wheeled on each other like this, you know, we're going to then have one of the tightest games that we've seen for the entire series to finish us off on that map 5. But it certainly looking like we're going to get to map 5 at this rate, with FaZe just absolutely running away with this. And to be honest, this has been quick time so far, Des. We only started this at 9 p.m. UK time. We're at 20 past 11 now, and we're nearly at the end of 3 maps in 2 hours 20. That is ridiculous pace.
It is really flying through. Where I remember an old series you and I did all 45 rounds. I think it was 4.5 hours, 3 maps. Christ, we're about to do it in half the time so far.
That's it. Just shows a massive difference.
LATAM just really taking us for a roller coaster ride right now, Tim.
That's what they do. That's what they do, Des. Bullet, he's going to be sending the Gemini decoy up those white stairs, just seeing that the path is clear. They can send somebody up there if they choose to do so. There's nobody in a position to challenge. They just need to be aware of the man inside of security. The Razor Bloom is just going to force him back for the time being. Cyber just missing his opportunity to peek the man on split there, coming up to the halfway mark. And FaZe, whilst tentatively taking steps inside of the building, they're not quite there yet. Astro almost putting a plant down there, Des.
Almost getting away with it, yeah, and I think getting spooked there as well as an explosive comes in from below. Not quite finding his man, still 5 versus 5 for now. In fact, it may have even been the canister coming out from Felipox just to keep that fire burning away. A smoke comes out, and FaZe, at least for now, are forced back. Entry kill coming in for Cyber, and they want this man here out of security that's been tucked in. Astro is down to about 5 HP. He really wants to make this plant work whilst chaos is unfolding around him, Tim.
He was just waiting for the kill onto Raps. Raps was the player inside of Kid Storms who was going to peek around and get him should he try to, and then the kill's just raining afterwards. Astro unable to get that diffuser down on the ground. That is going to be the game for FaZe. They caught me without my glasses on. It was such a surprise at the end there. All coming down within the last couple of seconds. As I said, they were waiting for Raps to be cleared out. Astro managed to somehow get past the man who was underneath in security. They had the Goyo there ready to try and deny that plant. That's where all the damage came in from. It was a Nitro underneath, but onto the window, not onto the plant spot.
Absolutely. It's one of them rounds, again, looking at it, where, 3 kills for Cyber out of 3K, literally marching around top floor like he owned the place. Cameron with a 2K on white stairs as well to kill off the would-be flankers. MIBR just didn't really feel like they were there for half of that map as well. I know we had a couple of rounds we looked at and went, man, this could be a 3-3 half, not a 5-1, but ultimately all that matters at the end of the day is that scoreline, that 5-1 at the half, a couple of dominant rounds on the other side. All too easy for FaZe.
Certainly was. Well, there is one more map to come yet, Des. We're going to have Kafe to finish off this best of 5. MIBR coming in with a 1 map advantage, of course, so we'll only be seeing 4 of them play. But we'll be back in just a few short minutes. Don't go anywhere, as our desk will break that one down for you.
जब चढ़ाई में चलो चढ़ने में तो इतनी प्रॉब्लम नहीं होती, तो थोड़ा सी बर्फ़ में यहाँ पे आंगन में ही थोड़ा सा पैर फ्रैक्चर हो गया था। मेरा नाम सीमा ठाकुर है, मैं हाउसवाइफ हूँ। वैक्सीन लगवाने के लिए हमें टूटू जाना पड़ता है, नहीं तो नहीं आयुर्वेदिक वो भी है ऊपर। बच्चों के साथ आधा घंटा लग जाता है। गिरब में जो है डिस्पेंसरी, उसके लिए आधा घंटा लग जाता है। जो टूटू जाना हो तो टूटू जाने में पौना घंटा बच्चों के साथ लग जाता है और पैदल जाना पड़ता है। बारिश बर्फ़ में तो बहुत मुश्किलें होती है, क्योंकि बच्चों के साथ आना जाना बहुत दिक्कत होती है।
मेरा नाम कृष्ण लाल है जी, और मैं स्वास्थ्य विभाग में, क्योंकि कुछ साल पहले ऐसा होता था कि गांव में पता ही नहीं चलता था लोगों को कि क्या है, कोई पोलियो है कि कोई जानता नहीं था। अब जब सरकार ने इसके लिए इस तरीके के अभियान छेड़े, जब तक हमारे को पूरा कंफर्म नहीं होगा कि इस बच्चे ने यहाँ पे दवाई नहीं पी या पिलाई या नहीं पिलाई, चले जाओ आप दूर दराज के क्षेत्र में चले जाओ तो हमारे को कोई ऐसा केस या ऐसा कोई बच्चा अगर यहाँ बच्चा आ गया तो हमने यहाँ पिलानी किसी कारणवश अगर बच्चा वो हो जाता गांव में लोग रहते क्या पता क्या मजबूरी है उसको क्यों नहीं आया बच्चा क्या पता वो बीमार है या कोई उसको कोई और प्रॉब्लम है तो हमारा ये है कि भी हम हमारे पास पूरी वो होती है लिस्ट बनी हुई ना कि हमारा अब लोकल टीम में तो पता ही होता है सबको कि फलानी जगह बच्चा फलानी जगह तो हमारे पूरा पता है कि फलाना बच्चा फलानी जगह से नहीं आया वो तो हम क्या करते हैं जैसे 4 बजे तक आज हम दवाई पिलाएंगे तो नेक्स्ट डे उसको घर में जाके दवाई पिला वही जैसे मैंने पहले कहा कि भी ऐसा नहीं होता कि भी उसको उस सुविधा से वंचित रहना पड़ेगा
And welcome back, friends, to Gamers Without Borders. We continue on with the competition, and who would have thought a big match between two massive teams in Brazil, Latin American region, MIBR and FaZe Clan, will have to go to map 5 to decide who takes it. Incredible to see this, Jess.
I mean, one map advantage where? One map advantage who? I mean, like, at this point, I'm sitting here like, why did you bother doing the upper bracket run? No, I think that overall, this has been a very clear indication to us that we should take all of these maps in isolation to each other. Jesse and I are sitting here as analysts, you know, born and bred into the Siege world of taking every series as a whole unit. You analyze it, you look at the momentum, you look at the strengths and weaknesses on attack and defense. We've done all of that for you on the previous maps, and it is giving you no indication as to who is going to win. So let us pull that away. Let's cut that away and just be honest. All of these maps in isolation are being played in a complete separate mindset for these teams. Look at FaZe's domination. Think about MIBR's domination on previous maps. I think it's a good idea for us to just look at the map, forget all the previous maps, and the last map is a glorified best of one here, Milosh. That's it. That's all we can look at it.
Pretty much so.
Yeah, and I mean, dialing in on Oregon from what we saw in this map, it did feel like it was a very strong start for FaZe Clan on their defensive half, and I get it. It's hard to attack onto Oregon, and you know, sometimes when you're running in at Laundry, they're giving it their best shot with these Capitao takes. I'm not gonna be too critical of those rounds where they're losing their attacks because, like, you expect that. It's Laundry. But then you look at some of these other bomb sites that they're not able to win, like when they're attacking onto Dining or they're attacking onto Meeting, and I really do want to give credit for FaZe, like, being able to keep these bomb sites really unpredictable. I love the way they were able to kind of work in Rook towards the end of that first half as well. They got really aggressive with it. They were able to have a really nice retake strategy on that Dining bomb site, and there were some close rounds here. Like, I see the score was 7-2, but it felt a lot closer than that, just because it felt like we could have seen MIBR take a lot more of those attacking rounds in that first half, but ultimately they didn't. And we saw Astra having some big saves. I thought Cyber had some really good moments. Bullet as well, having a big 1v1 there in round 4. So ultimately, it was those little moments that did push FaZe ahead. And I think a lot of it just comes down to the fact that they were playing so many different styles of defense, and they were willing to do really whatever it took to get those round wins.
Now, those different styles of defense will also, of course, apply to different sites and how they play, which is perfect because we're going to Kafe Dostoyevsky, where all sites get played almost all the time. So we got enough variability here to really tell which is the best team to take the #1 spot at Gamers Without Borders here in LATAM. So let's talk about Kafe Dostoyevsky. Jess, what are your expectations here for a final map in the series?
Look, I said I was going to take every map in isolation. I was going to do my due diligence of, like, our analysis isn't really applicable here today for some odd reason. But I think, like, fifth time is the charm, rather fourth, because, you know, the fifth map doesn't count for us, but the fourth time is the charm, I promise. The 7-2 loss to Boo Boo, I think, is a nail in the coffin for FaZe. The momentum might be in their side, and we use all nice cute keywords, but we've completely cut that away here because it doesn't count between these two teams for some odd reason. So I don't think the momentum is going to count. I think that 7-2 thrashing by Boo Boo shows there's a lot of mistakes from FaZe, and that kind of sneaky sort of way of playing and trying to change things on Kafe is not as applicable as it could have been on Oregon. So I'm going with MIBR. I think they've just delayed the inevitable. That's it. I'm putting my foot down.
Yeah, I mean, Jess, I agree with all the points you just made, but I also understand that literally every prediction we've made so far through this best of 5 has been wrong. So I agree. That was a rough game for FaZe Clan against Boo Boo. I don't care. I'm going FaZe Clan anyways. Somehow they're going to turn it around. MIBR won this map 7-1 over Furious earlier in the bracket. I don't think that's going to come into play at all. I think FaZe are somehow going to flip the script, and they're going to win this despite all the numbers suggesting otherwise.
I mean,
This
they've been
man's
flipping
just
the script the whole time.
He just
Exactly.
wants one of us to be right. He's like, if I pick the opposite to Jess, at least the analyst desk is correct at some point. So we've got this last map to do it. Last time you were right, Jesse, and I even had to quote that today, and it felt really, really bad in my chest to have to quote that you were right. So please, MIBR, I'm begging you. I don't want to do it a second time. I don't want to say that Jesse's right. So come out strong on Kafe here and show them what's what, I suppose.
We've already had one team make it through from the upper bracket and become the champion of their region. That was in Europe. Now the big question is, will it be FaZe or will it be MIBR? Two teams that have been oddly absent from international competition in Rainbow Six over the past few months. Now the question is, who can win this matchup? It all comes down to a map. Like you said, Jess, a glorified best of 1 to see who can automatically qualify as the #1 team from the region to the next LAN in 2 months' time in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So a lot happening here in this matchup. 100,000 difference between them in cash, that is, to see which one of the 6 charities they'll be donating to. So a lot of questions that we look to answer in a game. We'll be ready in a second. So Jesse, Jess, thank you very much. Final thoughts. Jesse, you are still sticking to MIBR on this one. Jess on FaZe.
I think so. I think MIBR
the other way around.
Other way around? I was testing you. Just
Jesse,
to see if you
you have jinxed it. Jesse.
Oh no. Oh no.
You see?
Oh no.
Oh, they're fine. They're fine. FaZe are going to rock it.
All right. Perfect. Perfect. There it is. We're jumbled all over. That's exactly what we want. Let's see if this is all going to be resolved in the server. Jesse, Jess, thank you very much. On to our casters. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Vilash. I think you best summarise exactly how everyone's feeling about this series now, Tim. It's one of those where it's like, okay, well, they just played really well, so surely they'll knock it out the park next map on their map pick. Don't be silly. It's going to go completely the opposite way, and I'm with Jesse. I can't call which way this last map goes, really, so you know what? I'll stick with FaZe as well. Let's go for it. Why not? Given they're above me in this corner, other corner, this one.
Other corner.
And you can go MIBR, yeah? We're going to go for it that way.
Why not? I mean, I'm going to toss a coin for this one because I've predicted MIBR twice so far, and they've lost horrendously in those maps. So I'm having nothing more to do with this. It is unpredictable. We're going into Kafe. Honestly, the only thing I'm going to predict is that we see overtime.
All right. You're not expecting a stomp then like we've seen across the other 3 maps, Tim. Yet, why would consistency be a thing into map 4, right? It doesn't make any sense. Of course, we've got to see overtime. Time will tell. Time will tell. Let's of course first, that's what I was looking for, get into the operator bands. It's been a long night, Tim. We've basically done 3 maps earlier. We're into our 4th map now. It's back-to-back casting. It's keeping us busy, that is for sure. Thatcher, the first ban, being taken away by FaZe.
MIBR going to go for the Nomad ban, so no Ying this time. For the first time in the maps we've seen between these two, Ying will be available, but unlikely played, I would have thought, although you've got the old Skylight drop potential, so we'll see if that gets brought out. Wamai will be our first defender to go, and then I would expect probably Valkyrie or Mirror to be the second, although who knows, we've seen a lot of his army play, so you know, maybe they decide that they don't want to deal with the new strats coming in, but no, it's going to be a smoke ban, and now that is one I would not have guessed in a million years.
And taking it away from Cameraman and Souls as well, who have played it throughout this series, is interesting. You know, it's something they've enjoyed, whereas on the other side, MIBR, I think they were the ones that played the Chanka earlier on, so they're the ones most likely to flex between different things, but it does mean these attacks can come in a little bit quicker now. No waiting out that 25, 30 seconds or so of downtime because of a smoke. You might just see the attackers with the ability to go a little more aggressive when it comes down to the short end of things. As we start though, Tim, it's going to be a reading and fireplace defense. You've got that Mirror on side, the Goyo, the Alibi off on the own for Cameraman. It's a bit of change of tap. Him, he's like, you mean I'm free? I haven't got to play smoke? Nope. Get on the Alibi and get out in the map. Be free. And he's like, yay! So off he goes.
First one are going to start us off on the defense once again. Going to be reading.
I did check, by the way. He does sound exactly like that when he says it.
Is that exactly it?
Absolutely.
I'm sure into his 4th map of this matchup, with the back and forth that we've had, there may not be quite as much energy in it as that does, but I will take it. There he is. He's actually, we must have got in on the team comms.
Oh, that was him popping in, yeah. He was saying hi.
Reading room will be site number 1. FaZe have started defense every single time so far, and they're going to be looking to continue the momentum that they had at the end. I think it suits them down to the ground, obviously getting that big win on Oregon, because MIBR a little beaten up now coming into Kafe, but if there's any team that can deal with it, we know that they are the ones. They're going to be heading straight over to the reading side of things. There's going to be 3, in fact, going in that direction. We're not going to see a rush into site, don't worry. They are going to want to take top floor control. Reductor's gone up there. They've got the IQ because, of course, Valkyrie is available.
Yeah, but so is attacker repick. So I'm not fully sure what he's after here. Unless they're looking to use it to guide some like vertical destruction coming in from... Well, no, even that doesn't work. I don't know, Tim. I really don't know. If you maybe got the G8, I'd be able to say, okay, well, you wanted the LMG, I understand. Decent gun, you got the breaching charge, you need the vertical destruction. Sure, you can play whatever you want. But he's running the commando, Tim. So I'm just not sure.
Nade is going to do a lot of damage to Foles, but there's going to be one that does a lot more damage to Souls as Philippox manages to find the opening kill, and that is going to be the mirror that is gone off the board. Straight onto the cams for Souls as he's trying to get some information back in for his team, but that is a solid start for MIBR.
I mean, it's a start, but does it tell you the whole story of what's going to happen in the rest of this round? Absolutely not. Heaven knows which way things break down from here. But yes, it is the opener on to the mirror. That's C4 being denied away for the rest of the round. In fact, no. Did she have one? No, I don't think she did, because there are two C4s. Goyo has got one, and the Mute has got one. Tim, I'm ashamed to say this. I actually have no idea what her other second gadget is. I've never seen anything except a C4 on a mirror.
That's a very good point you make. Philippox is heading down the white stairs. Going to be
barbed. It's barbed.
It is barbed, I was going to say. Philippox is going to be going down there, looking to head into the fire, taking a little bit of damage and just can't progress for the time being. But a lot of vertical control here for MIBR as the sledge and the book go to work, and that is going to be an awful lot of destruction that they are able to bring above the heads of the defenders. But FaZe holding on pretty well at the minute. They've lost a couple of players, but 3v5 has been the status quo for nearly the last minute now. So MIBR, they need to get moving in towards side, need to be finding something, but they're not a million miles from that drop over the balcony and in to get the diffuser down.
Now, they are slowly starting to work their way in, but that's my concern here, Tim. The word slowly really is the most important part of that sentence. They've got about 15 seconds to make their move forwards here. Another juice coming out from Raps, and that really should be the go sign. A flank potentially coming up brown stairs here, as well as a nade comes through. Up comes Astro, will find himself one. Redux over the top, gets shut down by cameraman, and just like that, MIBR is slowly losing out on the control they had. Raps with some fine cover, but in from behind. No way! As Astro just nicked that from the dying moments of the round. Unbelievable!
How many times?
Massive FaZe clutch.
How many times is Astro going to stop them putting the diffuser down?
How has he just ratted the hell out of that one? That is magic. That is honest. Look at this. Just like, oh, here I come. Hey guys, how's it going? In the middle of three of you. Unlucky, I guess. That's unreal.
Honestly, I think I've only ever seen it done worse than that once. And that was, I remember Pino up on the top floor. It was on Kafe again, actually. He was up on the top floor and he was in a 1v5 and he was completely surrounded. And he found the one angle that he needed that went through onto the planter, and it was at 0 on the clock, and it was a one tap. He won a 1v5 with one bullet. And it was unreal. That's the only time I've ever seen that bettered. That was unbelievable from Astro.
I just don't get how he's like sleuthed his way through there like a snake and managed to get away with that without being caught, heard, seen, shot. You name it, just madness. But hey, don't say no to a gift. FaZe do not say no. Round number 1 goes their way, and now we go down to the basement. So, avoiding bar and cocktail so far, Tim, but I would not be surprised to see that be the next site that we go to.
Yeah, probably the third choice. To be honest, the LATAM teams don't play the top floor quite as much. You know, it's one that I've complained about a little bit. The win rate on it really isn't that fantastic. And the LATAM teams do tend to stay away from it as defenders. So maybe a third choice site, but this time they're going to go, as you say, down to the bottom floor, down to kitchen. FaZe cannot be relying on last second kills from Astro. They're going to be very happy that they got away with that one, and MIBR will not, but they need to make sure they're more competitive in this round. They were 3v5 for a large portion of time then, and it all came down to the very wire. So they just need to make sure that they're getting that opening kill, getting themselves on top. If they can have a good defensive half here, which on Kafe honestly would be 3-3, they're going to be looking good. There you go. That's a nice Azami placement.
It is. I love that. When this Buck's come in and try to like shoot his way through it, what do? Just block the hole up with the Azami to stop nades going over the top. I think now they've finally got their angle over, it will come in and over and take out one of those keeper barriers on the way through. But like we spoke about earlier, Tim, in the last map, it's the fact that it forces you to consume even more utility than you already would just to get through what is essentially a temporary barrier.
I'd love to see the timing on that keeper barricade going up after the nade's been released and it just bounces back. That'd be absolutely amazing. Now then, Redux, he's going to be...
Oh my God, look at that!
So oppressive, isn't it? The attackers looking to move in, but they just can't be confident because there's a slight peak available at either side and very difficult to hold the defenders back from their FaZe at the minute. Are on the back foot. MIBR have got in quickly here, halfway mark, and they've got that bakery wall opened up. They've got the prep wall open. They're sending nades on into sight, but FaZe are looking pretty resolute at the minute.
Yeah, not quite the biggest opening to push through either. A crouch level 1. One more coming up on the left, but I imagine this is more for shooting through than it is to go vaulting through. We spoke about the bolt animation earlier on and how it makes it very predictable for defenders to know where your character will land once you go for a bolt. So really here, they're looking to get in through the right-hand one, get tucked in behind one of the counters and go for a plant.
FaZe are just sitting. Whoa! I was going to say waiting at the minute, but Astro has absolutely none of that. He could be the player that wins this game for them. Steps out and gets a fantastic peek across the bakery counter, serving up a treat as he gets himself a second, surely not a third. He's going to challenge into prep and he gets it. That's 3. He's going for 4 with the pistol, but no. Shut down eventually by Raps, but the damage is done. It's far too late for MIBR now. 28 seconds left to go, and they're in a 2 versus 4. FaZe can sit back, just play behind those Kiba barricades that are making life so difficult for the attackers here. Cameraman finds the kill onto Raps. It's all up to Falls. He can get nowhere as Souls shuts him down, and FaZe are 2-0.
It's unbelievable how much damage this guy has done to them in this entire series. Just time and time again. If it's not Astro, it's Bullet. If it's not Bullet, it turns out to be Cyber. If it's not Cyber, it turns out to be Cameraman. Like, I think Souls might be the only player that hasn't pulled off a ridiculous, like, 3K to solo win a round. And even then, he's had some good rounds throughout the series as well. Just clutch potential on this team is unreal today, Tim.
It certainly is. Astro there is just taking a flick to the space above him, but it was actually one of his own players that was playing on the hole up there, so he could have left the challenge into prep, and he would have got away with that because he would have had the cover there, but still, wasn't necessarily to know that, and it was a great 3K from Astro. 2 beauties across the bakery counter. So that's going to move us not into bar, but third choice site being mining and dining. So they're going to mix things up and not go all the way. They might leave bar completely out of the rotation here, going for that middle floor once again. But the problem for FaZe here is they gave up top floor control really quickly last time to MIBR, so they need to make sure that doesn't happen, because MIBR really did punish them, and it came down to that final second denial from Astro that they cannot rely on. So it is essential that they hold on to the top floor for longer. I want to see them up there for 2 minutes.
I mean, that's the dream, right? The thing is the attackers, like 60 seconds is enough. If you as defenders I've just noticed they've actually reinforced off the cocktail hatch as well. Normally that's left soft so you can drop back down through it, but this time around they've hard reinforced off, and the only real, well, it's not the only, but the main danger you create for yourself there is you don't have an easy way to drop back down towards site again. I guess because it's not, well, not really sighting, it's just reading. I guess you're assuming that you will lose control of it anyway, and the last thing you want to be doing is having nades thrown at you anyway. And maybe they're also trying to control more around white corridors, so they can test it towards piano. That would make sense somewhat, but I really thought they would have left that hatch soft to be able to play through, to be honest.
They're playing through the hatch on the rooftop for the time being, trying to get themselves into piano. Lukin's going to dump a nade into Pixel Spot, looking to take the shield out. Sounds like it was successful. There's nothing on the defensive side to have stopped it anyway. No Jaeger ADSs, no Wamai magnets. So that one goes in, clears the utility, and that's going to give access to piano. But hopefully FaZe will keep fighting for a little bit of control. We're only a minute into the round, and right now MIBR are looking a little bit comfortable on this top floor for me.
Yep, they're starting to step that way forward, but by the looks of it, most of FaZe have already dropped away. So MIBR is like, okay, cool, come here, make yourself comfortable, hope yourself some tea and cake. But we are not there, simple as that. And now they've kind of dropped themselves away. Sure, you've got that top floor control, but half the round has elapsed at this point. So for MIBR, they will start feeling the heat of that clock in the next 10 to 15 seconds.
Astro managing to find the opener onto the lead. 1 minute 20 left to go, and what a push this could be from FaZe as they stop that top floor really meaning much by getting that opening kill to begin with. MIBR are continuing to work. They've still got utility to clear. They'll do that as they now move down, and they're looking to get onto the lateral push as well. Sledge continuing to open up above trains, but that's not the site itself. It's not going to soften up the execution point. Now then, they see the man on red stairs, but he's stopping the motion for the time being. They can't continue pushing down until dealt with. Out comes a C4 cameraman. He gets caught out, snapped with a beauty as Reduc manages to find a nitro kill, and FaZe once again are in the lead.
I'd love to know how he knew there was a guy there, because he was sat like a statue whilst the Flores drones were raining through. Bit of intuition maybe coming out from cameraman. No doubt a bit of a guide from someone else on the team as well. And it's a beautiful freebie. One coming back from Raps at least to somewhat balance the books, but it is still a numbers advantage. And Raps doesn't know there's a man sat on white stairs just waiting. Just waiting. If he looks down, surely he can just see the edge of the hat. Out he steps now. Raps taking a few shots on the way through. And now the man stepped wide. Does he know about him on the stairs? Bullet here just dancing around with fire as well. Must know the man's on the other side of this wall to him. And MIBR are thinking about this plant.
They're going to have to go for it with 5 seconds left to go. Can FaZe deny them once again? There's a little bit of information, but not enough, I don't think, for the defenders to do anything about that going down. It will be confirmed. And we're now in a 3v3, but there come the shots through the soft wall. Bullet unable to find his man. Maybe challenged as he comes up to the doorway. Raps finds Cyber. 3v2,
what are you
3v1 as Foles gets Bullet. He knows there's somebody inside. He's already shot him, but he isn't able to find him. Cameraman downs one, but it's likely to not be enough. He's got about 16 seconds to finish these 2 kills and get onto the diffuser as well if he wants time to be able to disable it. He's working his way back towards site, but shut down as they see him through the footholes. It's Raps to close it out, and MIBR get their first round on Kafe.
I really feel like FaZe gave that round away. Like, MIBR were in a good spot to be able to challenge, but they just give over Fireplace, let them walk in, get the plant down, and then have to stage a really difficult retake from that point forwards. Bearing in mind, they had a numbers advantage for the vast majority of that round, of 5 versus 3, and you let them get away with the plan. I don't know, it just feels like maybe FaZe weren't expecting so much pressure to come into Fireplace with all 3 members swarming in and just get completely overrun. Fair play to MIBR though, they get their first round in Kafe.
I'm amazed that they managed to get the diffuser down. You know, they seem to have everything they needed. FaZe, they had the man on white stairs who was able to step up and hassle Raps, and then Bullet just never really made the challenge on into sight, and it was a tough one. But MIBR took full advantage of that and were able to get that diffuser down. Great round from them. So heading into round number 4, it is going to be the top floor. We'll see all 4 sites from FaZe here. They're going into bar and cocktail, and they're going to have to do a better job of holding on to as much real estate on top floor as they can than they have done so far.
Sure, and now that we're stepping up here, this could be the time. Okay, and Ossa being 6 picked, well, I keep saying 6 picked, but re-picked is probably the right word in, or swapped in, or whatever other wonderful word you want to use. Very keen to see how this gets set up. I know before we've seen teams make use of this to get a shield on the cigar shop doorway, have that looking out across the bar. Others have used it to get themselves set up on top of Cave, so on the new hatch drop, and use that as an angle as well. Helps you control the players that we're playing on Heaven, those across from you on the other side of the map. So it makes sense to use it, but you're obviously very, very susceptible to being C4'd out as well at the same time in both of those positions, or just caught out by impacts, which fortunately there are none of for the side of FaZe, understandably so. Again, no one really brings Oster on this map overall.
It'll be interesting to see just exactly how those are used. Raps on the Thinker, going to get upside down. There we go. Just Reduct using it at the minute, almost like a blitz shield, just to get in and feed information back in. A little bit of protection, just offering that pane of glass between his face and the bullets of the enemies. But the feet can be shot out. Will get it deployed inside of Cigar though. So interesting position there. Just going to be able to aggress onto the Maestro spot particularly. See exactly what's going on. Feed information back in. Could be a power play. Cyber taking a lot of damage, but so does Reduct. We've got a bit on both sides at the minute. Coming up towards the halfway mark, still trying to get access into Piano consistently here, MIBR.
Absolutely, still holding on at least for now. Cyber still holding on. With 2 of those, well, one of the C4s already expended, only 2 now remain to use for the denial effort, if of course it comes down to that, depending on how close they can get through. In comes Raps then, propelling his way inside of Piano, and the Havana also getting to work. I was going to say, actually, I saw this earlier on when they were out, and I assumed it was just some weird thing with the mute. Have they changed the colour of the pellets? Because they used to be obviously bright red, but right now
they're very grey in the middle.
Dark.
Yeah, they look very
It's very weird. Maybe it's a temporary thing, heaven knows.
Not a temporary thing is the kill from Astro onto Raps. Nice headshot as he shuts the man down. Advantage FaZe once again. 2 minutes in. MIBR not really getting too much going here. Cyber is low health, but that's about it. The jump out comes out from Astro. He gets away with it, but he's being exposed at the minute because he can't get himself back inside. Cameraman gets Reduct, but somehow Astro keeps fighting here. Hello? He's keeping Philippox at bay, who has to reload. Finally, the kill comes in 3v3, but a lot of time wasted by Astro.
I was going to say, absolutely no way Philippok should be losing that one when there is a permanent line scan on someone going off literally every single millisecond. We'll find the kill and bring us back to that 3 versus 3. A C4 still in back pocket here for Souls as well to make use of as Lukid now going to start working his way forward in towards storage. A great shot onto Souls, who's holding just off to the side. A couple of kills fly through for MIBR, and surely they win this one. Yes, they do. Falls finds the kill. Down goes cameraman. MIBR with round 4.
Souls really shouldn't be losing that one in barback storage. He's playing on the mirror. He's right next to the wall when it gets sledged. So guess what? Somebody's going to come through that hole. You know that it's happening. You've seen the sledge open up the wall in front of you. You can't then lose the peak when it comes through. So it was there you go, a pivotal moment. You can't be losing that. I know it was a headshot as he came in, but there was just no return fire coming from Souls there. Big problem for FaZe Clan, and it brings us back to 2-2 as MIBR are looking definitely for that third attacking round.
Aren't they just? Reading and Fireplace on the repeat once again. The Maestro being brought in here by Souls as well. I think teams are having to, well, both of them will have to get a little bit creative without the use of that smoke, it being banned away by FaZe as a reminder. They're the ones who will come into this map prepared with ideas on what they can substitute in place of the smoke, whereas for MIBR, it might have to be a little bit more on the fly when they get onto the defensive side of things.
Top floor has not been a strong point for FaZe so far. It certainly hasn't been a strong hold, that much is for sure. They've been chased away from there usually within the first minute and had to play very laterally from sight, and it just hasn't worked out for them. They've lost reading, they've lost mining, they've not held on to these mid-floor sites. So they're going to need to, sorry, no, they won reading, but only by the skin of their teeth with Astro closing out the plant in the last second. So it's unlikely that they get that sort of situation again, and MIBR are going to be confident that they can get in here and get this job done. It's going to be straight up to the roof, into the top floor, and get those FaZe defenders scurrying away with their tail between their legs.
That's it, yeah. I mean, here it's okay to drop away because, of course, you've got the site to play behind. Only a couple of C4s on side to play for that vertical denial if they're really looking for it, but I imagine this might take some more heroic efforts towards the back end of the round, given how things are already starting to shape up. I was going to say, Philippos gets in and gets the entry, then suddenly it looks very, very dicey, but of course, it's Astro to find the entry.
Astro is going big so far for FaZe. He's definitely one of the driving forces. 8 and 3 at this point. 3 of the team members, Bullet, Souls and Cyber, 0, 1 and 1. 2 kills between 3 of them in 5 rounds is not really cutting it for FaZe. If they could step up at this point, FaZe might just be able to come away with an advantageous first half on the defense. But Cyber, he's going to take a lot of damage. Does manage to get the kill though. Must be listening. Takes down Redux, and that's now 5 versus 3. Nade goes in, still not able to find a kill as Souls manages to dance away and take about 40 damage there. Halfway mark. FaZe looking pretty good at the minute. Still hold of the top floor. Much better than they've done previously.
Yeah, Souls, honestly, I thought he'd get caught out by that nade as it came singing on through, but no. Walks away on about 60 HP and a prayer. A couple of bullets will have him out. One of them connects just there, but Lukid with a rapid shot onto Bullet now going for the next one. Finds Souls. Up on Heaven will bring him down at the same time. And just like that, MIBR once again have equalized the kill count for both sides.
And FaZe they cannot keep hold of that top floor, and when they try, they lose men repeatedly. So it's something that they definitely need to be looking at. Now then, they're going to have the sledge of Lukid opening things up. They've got Falls on the book as well. This is something that they've done double soft breach previously, and it just means they can rip up this floor so quickly. So with 1 minute 10 left, when they manage to get control of top floor, it's ample time for them. 40 seconds left on the clock now, and they need to keep working on towards site. Lukid just aware of a potential flank there. Obviously must not have a drone to go out there, or they have one that has seen the player that moved into mining underneath, so they were just a little bit concerned that it might be followed through. Lukid does manage to go down and get Cyber. Advantage now to MIBR, but they need to think about getting into sight and getting this diffuser down. You see the 2 players dropping over the edge. They're looking to go for the default, whilst the last man above Lukid, he's going to hold on to those vertical angles. Falls manages to find himself a kill and then go to get the diffuser down. 8 seconds left to go. Cameraman's got to do something. Surely they can't allow this to happen again. He's going to challenge onto the door. No luck this time. 1 on the shotgun, but that will be all as Raps just guns through everybody to get that kill.
He don't care about his teammate there. If you want to hit the deck, no problem by me. I'll go through you and through him at the same time. It's just crazy how back and forth between different members of FaZe Clan and the occasional member from MIBR they just go nuclear. Sometimes it's for Lupoc, sometimes it's Luca. We haven't really seen the other three do it, but they can just walk a 3K and basically single-handedly win a round. It's absolutely insane, Tim.
It is. You just had I've just had a moment there where I thought, well, maybe cameraman does this. Maybe he gets the double kill. But Raps was absolutely sealing the deal there. And I've got to say, found the teammate that gets shot through. I don't really mind too much. We've got the round. That is all that you're looking for. Round number 6 then is going to be FaZe's final defense. It's down to the kitchen this time around. We remember the defense that they put up here last time. Astro just gunning everybody down, basically. Something that MIBR need to be careful to deal with. They went in through Bakery, opened up the wall, but the Azami barricades just made it an absolute nightmare for them. So for me, I want to see them switch this up. Get that mid-floor control, maybe push a little bit of freezer. Don't play into those Kivas.
No, because we saw how well they were used last time as well to just keep on draining more and more frag grenades out the other side. And the concern you're going to have, I think, in this round if you're MIBR is that you've only now got 2 frags on side. There's clearly got to be a game plan here behind having those 4 smokes on side, and it must all be focused around the execute. The gridlock also coming in here as that alternative to the Nomad being banned away, although normally you'll see that used for things like stairways or more confined areas where it doesn't really matter so much if they get shot out. It's more about the noise and the awareness that you're playing for than so much trying to air jab someone away.
A lot of access to the building opened up to begin with, but MIBR not putting anybody into the map just as of yet. They will continue droning and moving. It looks like up towards the roof, so I think we are going to see a little bit of a top-down clearance, which I think we need this time. They're opening up the hatch as well, because we did have somebody from FaZe playing inside of trains last time. I commented on it. Astro nearly challenged onto them before ultimately dying in prep, but look at that. Felipox gets himself into reading quickly and gets an opener onto Bullet. MIBR starting to get a little bit of a head of steam up here, Des.
That's it, right? And again, you just can't call which way these maps are going to go. It's just so back and forth from start to finish. But problem is, Tim, Astro is still alive. I do not want to count FaZe out for as long as that man draws breath in a round. We've seen what he can do now on several occasions, and just because MIBR found that one, I'm not convinced it's over and done with yet.
No, we know that he can turn around on its head at a moment's notice. Raps is going to be in the top floor. He's got the drones going out ahead of him. We'll pick that one up to be used later on, but fairly confident, I think, at this point that they can get themselves established. Pretty quick going. Bucky's going to be opening things up at about the 1:30 mark, so bang on time for MIBR, and they can start working in towards site. They haven't really put too much pressure into Bakery just yet, so as I suggested, it might be a little push towards Freezer, so much so that FaZe have still got somebody playing inside of Bakery at the minute, so MIBR will need to deal with that should they want to push through there.
They've got the vertical angles they need though as well, and about 60 seconds on the clock is no small amount of time for which to play with here as well. They've got the flanks covered off by those tracks, so when you look at it on paper, MIBR have got everything they need to make this work, including the numbers advantage, but I've just seen on that window yet again, another Kiva is in place. Of course, you can 3-hit it off as well, which is okay. You just got to pray that there's no one on the other side of it waiting for you to do so.
Exactly that. You know, this is the next thing that we're going to see is going to be defenders waiting behind those things for those knocks to come through. Cameraman going to take a lot of damage inside a court check there. Felipox might just chase that kill and try to continue with it. Cameraman ditching the C4 there, not really getting any joy, and manages to make it back to site. Souls finds Reed up, level things up 4v4, but Raps, he gets the trade, and Felipox has found himself inside a site. This is dangerous, Des. There is a Fox in there with the chickens, and he's going to start tearing them apart any second. Now Cyber, he comes in, and surely not. Cameraman manages to get Raps. There's no opportunity here for Falls to get this diffuser down at this point.
Oh, no way.
He keeps fighting, no shutdown. Somehow they manage to squeeze it in the nick of time, planting the diffuser, and it's all up to Cameraman on the Goyo. He has to battle back, but no shutdown by Lukid.
MIBR, that's it. A 4-2 half and a good attack coming out there, like you mentioned, Tim. The Fox amongst the chickens just manages to crawl his way in. And I really thought for a second when the retake came from Cameraman that he'd be able to kill 2 or 3 there before he got shut down. But I think he did what all of us do when you suddenly walk into the room and there's 2 or 3 enemies there. You panic. You don't know where to look. He went for the middleman, then tried to swing onto the right. Ended up missing on both of them. And well, sadly, everything kind of crumbled apart from there. Otherwise, it could have been one of those big comebacks that FaZe so sorely needed. MIBR up 4-2, and they go onto the defensive side. Is this where we start to assume that Kafe is just an MIBR map and they've run away with it, Tim?
This round is going to be the selling point for me. Often I'll say that, 8 or 9 are the particularly important ones, but right now 7 is going to be key, both for FaZe and MIBR. Whoever wins this comes out with, I think, a decent advantage for the rest of the half. MIBR get this one. It's almost done at that point, to be honest, if they can hold this defense down, particularly if they can hold on to top floor and keep control of the map better than FaZe did. FaZe really struggled with that at times. As you saw there, they struggled to control their own site. There's, Philippox, as I commented at the time, the Fox in the situation, just strolled on into site. He just basically walked into site, got himself a kill, and was just stood having a look around. It was the tip of the spear for MIBR going in there, and there was just nobody really there to challenge him, and I just feel like FaZe were a little bit out of control of their own boundaries at that point.
Philippe Fox sounds pretty good for a rename to beat him.
There you go.
He is the Fox. Let's see what else goes on from here, though. We've got the Eli on the side as well as the Thinker here, so 2 pretty impressive operators with their global bus overall coming in. Admittedly, like you said earlier on, we need to see more members of FaZe stepping up here afield as well. Between Bullet, Souls and Cyber, there are only 4 kills, all 3 of them on 5 deaths apiece. It is not the ideal start. You can't rely entirely on Cameraman and Astro to do it all. That Ying on side here, I think we all know exactly what's coming in at some point, Tim. You spoke about the Skylight drop through. Of course, we are working on towards the second site, but it could also be really, really good for ensuring they get control of this top floor where there are mirrors set up, so look out for when those smokes come through.
Yeah, definitely could be a play to get bathroom cleared out. There's ADSs in there. It's not going to be easy to get a nade on in there, but playing Candela in front of the mirror and, combining that with other things may be a way to get that dealt with. They try to get the nade in. There will be an explosion, but I think it was actually out in the corridor. Nitro onto the windowsill is not going to do any damage, and Luca decides he's going to drop out of washroom for the time being and just allow that other nade to be soaked up, which one of them will be, as Bullet will go for a second. Is it going to find its target? No, it does a little bit of damage to Fold, but not enough to really scare him away.
Absolutely, Astro equally taken down to about 40 HP there. Few bullets raining on through, but again, for him and for Falls, neither of them falling by the wayside. It's just a little bit of chip damage at this point, and all for the better given Astro's impact in this game so far. Down to that last 75 seconds or so, and now we start to see some pressure coming in at the bottom of White at the same time. So a bit of a multifaceted attack coming in potentially from the side of FaZe, but they really need to start working in their favor. They've already lost Astro. They've now lost Bullet. This is looking to be a 5-2 to MIBR unless FaZe can pull off a miracle.
This is it. FaZe have not really been able to get control over the top floor. It's still being battled for now. Granted, Souls manages to get a man down. It's going to be Reduct that he'll probably go on to get the kill against, but it is not looking pretty. Souls managing to get the kill onto Reduct. Cyber calling a timeout already. There's 45 seconds left in the round, Des. What does that tell you about the mental on the side of FaZe right now? The assumption is there that the 2v4 is already done, and that is the way it's probably looking as they try to push into site. 26 seconds left to go. Cameraman using those Candelas. Luke finds Souls. Luke finds another. And where does he get them from, Des? He's up on the top floor because MIBR never gave it up.
Rolled a 4K there as well. We spoke about it earlier on how there's really 4 players on FaZe that we're looking at and saying, yep, clutch, 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 all the way throughout the series. But Lukin has kind of been that repeated X factor. So many rounds that you can put your finger on and say, yep, Luka did that. Think about the 2 rounds at the top of Black back on Skyscraper where he just marches his way through and kills 2 or 3 people and basically single-handedly wins the round for his team. We've had a couple of those so far here on Kafe, and this was another one for Lukids, dare I say, portfolio to showcase exactly what he can do. The highlight reel up on YouTube, all taken from this series, I'm sure.
The thing is, the big difference there for me, if you say to me, Tim, what did MIBR do that FaZe didn't? They kept hold of top floor. It is literally as simple as that. They fought their fights up there and they won them, whereas FaZe were chased away or lost lives. They just didn't get those kills up on the top floor, and they paid for it. Whereas MIBR, up to the very last, the last 2 kills come in from underneath New Hatch because they just never gave it up, and it just showed. They reaped the rewards, and they get the round. It's 5-2. Can you honestly see that MIBR are not going to win 2 more defenses here? Honestly, they've got 1 foot towards this title done already. FaZe, they're going to need a gargantuan effort to turn this around.
And I don't really know if a timeout is the place to find it, to be honest with you, Tim. If your players aren't hitting their shots, I don't think a 60-second conversation is going to suddenly transform that is the issue. We keep on highlighting those 3 players that on this map just are not delivering the goods right now, It's only Astro and Cameraman that are really hitting the numbers they need. And when you got players like Luka just walking a 4K like he did in that last round, who's going to step up to him if you lose either Astro or Cameraman? I'd say Astro, but again, if he's gone, what's left?
Exactly that. And the thing that I've seen with FaZe over the years is they can be quite a passionate roster, and I think so, or emotional players. And I think sometimes when a team gets on top of them, they're not always the best at turning that around. I think sometimes maybe I don't know whether it gets a bit fraught, a bit stressful in there, which I'm sure it does when you're trying to win a tournament, and it's all on the line. I think FaZe sometimes do struggle to deal with that. We have seen them go to the top. They've won a major event, and you don't do that without being able to face that sort of adversity. But I think sometimes it does just get the better of them a little bit, and it seems like that's the case. As soon as they lose a couple of rounds here tonight, it just starts snowballing and running away from them. They've benefited from that. They've done the same to MIBR. In the games, in the maps where they have found themselves behind, they've never really been able to get a foothold back into it.
No, that's it. And that really has been the story for both teams, I think, as well. Not even just FaZe, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
When the game starts running away from you, both of these teams have really struggled to kind of show that resilience, that composure to get things back on track, just kind of letting the flow of the game run away from them. FaZe here, with most of their members focusing out towards white, probably suggests I don't want to say a fully rare sort of push here, but it could be that all of them try and focus on trying to get in here through the freezer side and push their way in on the east, rather than piling pressure in towards Bakery, where we saw in the first half MIBR did put a lot of focus.
Cameraman straight into the middle then. He's looking to open the hatch up. Great start from Cyber. That's what they needed after that little team talk that they've just had, starting things off with a kill onto Lukid and taking control of VIP. As I said, taking map control was something that they struggled with in the last round, and they definitely needed that. That is a key position that's going to allow them to push in towards Bakery.
It is. It's good that they've kind of shown the owners here to have a pretty decisive attack as well. I know it's far from over yet, it's still the early round, but the way the Amaro was in up on the second floor, getting the hatch opened up, a Cyber step forward, took out VIP, just really good and aggressive. And MIBR still a little bit light on the ground here, out towards this side of the map, which means FaZe Clan should be able to step in and get full control of restaurants, start taking over control of red, and start thinking about their execute in towards the east side of the map.
Astro taking down a little bit of utility as the Rotero drone races in ahead of him. As you can see, very confident in the control that they've got now, FaZe. This is looking better from them. Aggression and confidence. That's exactly what they needed. Cameraman, he's going to be working out of utility. Nobody on the middle floor for him to challenge at the minute. He's going to be droning, but the problem is there is one above him. I'm not sure if he's aware of Reduct pushing down white stairs. This could be a little bit of a nightmare here. If he gets him, he sees him. It's as easy as that. That's Cameraman done, and that means the vertical is given up as well. This could be a real spanner in the works for the FaZe attack.
That's just the one they were looking for as well. Can they keep on transforming it into more? FaZe still making their moves here in towards red. They've got the control they need, but Falls has found a second one back. That's what you're looking for. He finds a huge 3K from Wedding. Why are you not paying attention to the man when he's stepping inside of red? He chews the heads off clean, and Cyber, what started out as a great round for him, has crumbled. MIBR move up to match and series points him.
It just tells you what's going on at the minute, doesn't it? Like I said, FaZe just seem to have taken their eye off the ball a little bit. They don't pick up on the man on top floor, which is a big problem. And after such a good opener onto Lukid as well, but Reduct is allowed to just walk in, get that kill, and then as soon as he gets that onto Cameraman, because of the time that's left remaining, he basically has control of the top two floors. He knows he's not going to be challenged. He can just sit and wait to use vertical holes that have probably already been opened up ready for him to try and deny plants, try denying entry into the site. And then the push into Wedding. Absolutely no chance for FaZe to control that, and they give up 3 lives to it. It's just, they just don't have control.
Just on that one small mistake as well as Falls popping his head out of Wedding, it's like, okay, if you're ignoring me in Bakery, I guess that means I can get a little bit cheeky and aggressive here. Must have never been droned out, or whoever was on that duty of flank watch clearly wasn't doing their duties at the time. Because that, again, is one of those single round-ending plays or game-winning plays, potentially. And that is a great time for Falls to make it happen. Moving up to 8-3 in this game. What a fantastic map overall for pretty much all of MIBR. I know he shouted out Lukid a lot. Raps at 7-3. I know Reduct and Philippox aren't exactly high and flying, but like we always say, you can't be a superhero every game, Tim.
No, absolutely cannot be, and that's when the team needs to step up. This is a team of of 5 players. It's a game of of 10 in the server, and everybody needs to be pulling their weight and doing their part. Cameraman's on the Amaru again. We saw him zip very quickly into dining last time. I'm interested to see if he maybe goes into the map quickly again, pressures maybe new cocktail balcony to try and push in and hassle the man that's playing up there on the top floor. FaZe have to take top floor control. We saw them fail to do so against on a reading attack, and look what happened. They can't allow MIBR to stay in control of the top floor. Simple as that.
It's funny and interesting here, actually, how there are no hard breaches coming through for FaZe here. I don't know if that's a case of they feel like they've given up a little bit here, but no hard breach gadget, no nothing. Instead, just going all out with their aggression. Lots of entries on side. The Amaru trying to catch people off guard. Everything just really working on aggression and trying to bring down these members of MIBR. So far, it's going well. They've got rid of the Oryx, one of the roamers out and about. Now down goes the Mira, looking much better for FaZe in this round. 5 versus 3 after just 60 seconds, Tim.
5 versus 3 and top floor control. That's what we wanted. There's one man still left up there, but with 3 FaZe attackers circling around him, there's very little that he's going to be able to do. But look at that. Lukin, Felipox, able to do it again. Level it up. Redux takes a lot of damage. Going to be downed and killed by Bullet, leaving us now in a 2v2 as Astro goes along with him. So MIBR looking to hold on. They've possibly got the high ground once again. They've been able to move back up the white stairs. That could be a problem for FaZe. Cyber goes out of the window, has to pick up the diffuser, and at the halfway mark, this has just been an absolute bloodbath again.
Feels like it's turned into a 2 versus 2 game mode now, doesn't it? Because there's just that much time left on the clock as well. Sure, Diffuser's recovered, got himself out of dodge, but now they've got to reset and choose where their attack comes from once again. Bullet's in a wonderful spot, admittedly, though. Look, between both sides here, he's got a lot of control, but it's about can Cyber get in safely. And with how much time they've got on side, they must feel pretty secure about making this play happen. Felipox in a position to be able to play through the soft wall as well. Oh, Lukin, what a wonderful spot to have. Sees the man, it's a freebie. Of course, it's Lukin finding a 3K. Now, Bullet's got to step out. Surely he gets shut out from red stairs here. Shots come through, but do not connect. 2 pushing in from red as well, and Bullet going to rotate out towards Fireplace here. Try and make this plant come down in a different spot. If he gets away with this, my God, is he pulling off an absolute robbery, Tim.
MIBR need to be careful here. They're potentially going to be pushing from the same location, and I don't think they've any idea that the plant's going down, so they are now on the clock as well. 2v1, and there's the kill. Lukin 4K on the round. He just needs to go and find the diffuser and disable it, which he will. And what a play from MIBR, but I can't avoid the mistake from FaZe again. Yes, they had Bullet playing inside a train. It wasn't a terrible position for him, but again, they'd just given up on top floor. They didn't know what was going on up there. They didn't know there was a man above who could have the easiest kill in the world on the player coming in through window. And I said it throughout Kafe, there was a lack of focus from FaZe, and ultimately it's cost them, but congratulations to MIBR, who are our winners.
That's exactly what he walks away with, right? 15 and 5, Tim, across 9 rounds. That is honestly ludicrous. That's more than 1.5K
so good
per round as well. Absolute field day for Luki there. Kafe turned out to be his playground. Massive congrats there to MIBR as well with a much-deserved victory. Sure, it didn't quite come in the fashion we expected. Many thought we'd see maybe a 3-1 or even a 3-0. So fair play to FaZe for a good couple of games. But again, that consistency between maps did not exist.
No, MIBR were just clinical towards the end as well. This is the thing. It was almost like FaZe had switched off a little bit, lost a little bit of focus, and MIBR were just like, right, these are going to be free all day long, and they just kept going in and just, every angle, they just had an answer to everything.
It was absolutely all too easy for them. And again, looking back throughout the series, Lukin, for me, probably the player of the series overall. I know we had some wonderful moments from Astro, who really took charge on some of those maps and some of those rounds, but Lukin, for me, with the constant multi-kills, the vertical play, the ability to really commandeer some of those attacks, like, again, the pushes through top black on Skyscraper, really stands out to me as the player of the series.
Yeah, I'd absolutely agree with you. I mean, Astro deserves his shout as well. He's had some big moments, particularly there on Kafe, but throughout the series as well. FaZe have had their moments. They have played their part. It was just as if, I don't know, they were tired. The game had taken its toll. They just didn't really show up on Kafe. It's tough to take for them, I'm sure. They'll bounce back, but MIBR, they certainly earned the win.
It's one of those as well when you think about it, that MIBR had to fight their way in through the lower bracket, right? Whereas for the side of FaZe, they were in that upper, sorry, the other way around. MIBR coming in through the winners, FaZe having to fight their way through that lower bracket, more games to play, more exhaustion, and ultimately coming in on a losing battle. But we'll throw it over to our desk to break down what has been another wonderful map for the side of MIBR.
Thank you very much, Des and Ace. And yes, it is done and set in stone, ladies and gentlemen. It is done. MIBR take it from the upper bracket and move on. Not only are they victorious here today, taking number 1 spot in GWB, the LATAM edition, but also they're making it, the most important part of it all, making it to the tournament on land in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia next, August, I guess, in a month and a half, almost 2 months from now. Very excited to see what they have to show, since both of these squads, either MIBR or FaZe, have not played internationally in a while. MIBR will get the opportunity very, very soon. But now to discuss things and the fallout of this all is myself, Milosh. I'm the host. I'm the guy that, tries to have some fun. And then my analysts here, Jess and Jesse, that from what I'm kind of gathering over the past few minutes at the end of this matchup, one of you was right. Which was it? Oh, she's shaking. All right, Jess, you were right. Are you happy? Jesse, I'm sorry.
You know what? No, I needed it. The reason I needed to be right was not because it makes me feel any better. It's just purely out of the fact that I had to admit that Jesse... Yeah, it does. It's a little karmic in nature, because I had to admit that Jesse was right on, an occasion, and I really wanted to get my own moment here. So, Jesse, from your own mouth, can you explain what's happened here?
Well, Jess, you predicted correctly that MIBR would win the final map, and yeah, you were right, and they really did destroy them in the end there. 7 in a row after FaZe Clan won the first 2. Really felt like a rough game for FaZe Clan. I feel really bad for Astro. He won the first 2 rounds for his team single-handedly. It was a 1v3 that he denied the kid on for the first round. In the second round, he started off with a 3K that really did secure the round for them. And then after that, throughout the entirety of the map, he got 5 opening picks. We only played 9 rounds. That's over half of them. And still, time after time after time, the rest of FaZe Clan threw those away. I'm sure it was a frustrating game for him. The rest of FaZe Clan, they're going to have some time to sit back and think about that. Will MIBR get to go to LAN?
It's not even just they get to go to LAN, they get the big bucks as well for their chosen charity. I mean, that's $250,000 that MIBR's like, check. We get to sing that all the way over to our chosen charity, and almost as I speak it into existence. You see UNICEF there, and they get to go to a LAN as well. I mean, I think it speaks volumes.
Yeah. Pretty good day, pretty good week for all of these teams, especially MIBR, of course. $250,000 go to UNICEF, $125K for FaZe Clan, from FaZe Clan to UNICEF. And then the last 2 bits, which still end up being $25,000, they go to the International Medical Corps, IMC. That is all done for LATAM. But if you're thinking, hey, I would love to watch some more Siege and to see, in more of a tournament fashion, who can make it through. Well, don't you worry. Perfect timing for it. What a question you may ask, because we still have more and more region before we wrap up Gamers Without Borders. It's been an incredible week here, but up next, Space Station Gaming versus Parabellum, and this is going to be a big one here, because we'll have the NA crew take over the desk segment with the Euro Bros that come, I guess the UK Bros at this point, coming in and casting that.
Brexit means Brexit.
That's what I'm told. Jesse, final thoughts on this, both of you guys. What do you think of what's gone down so far before we go to NA?
Well, I think that we got a great grand finals, right? I mean, this was a fantastic way to end things out for both FaZe Clan and MIBR. I'm sure in the moment this can be really sour for FaZe, but still, I think they played a great game. We saw a lot of strength and weaknesses on different maps from these 2 squads. And yeah, I think it's a big statement match from MIBR, twice in this bracket, beating a rival that they previously really struggled with.
And not only that, but just so much money going to charity. For me, I really wanted to get involved, because the charitable factor to me it just blows my mind. And I want to really commend all of the teams. I know there's a LAN at stake as well, but I want to commend every single team that we have watched and will watch as this last grand final comes in today, for putting a lot of effort into these games. Sometimes you can jump into an event and you can see the quality's diminished a little bit, but my goodness, we actually got to sit here, watch good Siege, and you and I got to analyze pretty damn good Siege as well. So it's nice to be able to dabble back in Siege a bit and be like, you know what, that was pretty satisfying. I enjoyed that one, so that's great. I'll walk away with good memories from this one.
A pretty fun one indeed. A third edition of Gamers Without Borders here. We get to see more action. North America is coming up next. Jess and I will be signing off. It is 1:30 a.m. for us here, so
Correct.
we'll get the night, or I guess day shift now begin for North America. Grand Final, Space Station Gaming versus Parabellum. Who takes that game? At least we got 2 Tier 1 teams again back. Not like with Europe. Europe is just another beast at this point. So from all of us, thank you so much. We'll be back in just a few minutes for North America. See you then.